Digital Radio AM, talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Sunny and 30 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
A driver had to be cut from the wreckage after hitting a tree at Door Park last night. It happened at the intersection of Dawes Road and Borman Avenue around 7:30. A 37-year-old man from Panorama was taken to Flinders with life-threatening injuries. A car's made contact with a property at Salisbury Park. It hit a unit and fence on Fendon Road around 8:30 last night. It came to rest in a nearby reserve. The driver, a local 48-year-old, was taken to hospital with a minor head injury. No one else was hurt. The MFS were called to a fire at a house on Loretta Crescent at Salisbury Downs shortly before 9 last night. 2 people were treated for smoke inhalation and taken to hospital as a precaution. Rachel Kinlock from the MFS says the damage is limited.
The fire, which is considered accidental and as a result of unsafe child fire play and experimentation, has caused approximately $20,000 in fire damage to the bedroom and smoke and heat damage to the hallway.
The countdown to the state election is ramping up. A new campaign focusing on Labor leader Peter Malinauskas hits the small screen today. He gave his followers on social media a preview last night. We head to the polls on March 19. SA retailers say millions of dollars in rapid antigen tests bound for our state are missing. Interstate governments and big business are being accused of taking our supply. Pharmacy Guild President Nick Paniaris is demanding answers.
There are some that have got stock. There are corners of industries and government that have got stock, and there's a lot of us that don't have stock. So if so much stock is coming into the country, it's clearly not getting distributed either equally or fairly, or is getting redistributed to whoever pays the highest price.
The private hospital sector is downplaying the number of staff available to alleviate pressure on the public system. The federal government signed a deal in 2020 to ensure private resources were available to support public hospitals during times of peak demand. Health Minister Greg Hunt says up to 57,000 nurses and more than 100,000 staff will be deployed, but Private Hospitals Association Chief Executive Michael Roff says that's impossible.
The numbers that the Minister was referring to is the total number of staff in private hospitals, and I can tell you now that that total number of staff is not available, because just like the public sector, on any given day we have 10 to 20% of our staff who are unavailable.
The UK Prime Minister is denying he was warned about a drinks party at Downing Street during lockdown. Boris Johnson is now accused of tending a staffer's farewell in 2020. He's also apologised again for attending another gathering at Downing Street in May, which he claims he thought was work-related.
In retrospect, as I said to the House of Commons, Beth, if I had my time again, I would not have allowed things to develop in that way. And when I went out into that garden, yes, I should probably have told people, I should have looked around and said, well, we've got to go back indoors, or this isn't the right way to do things.
And from boy wizard to Weird Al, actor Daniel Radcliffe will star in a new movie about the king of musical parodies, Weird Al Yankovic. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
And a very good morning to you, Mel. To tennis first, and Nick Kyrgios will face Daniel Medvedev in the Australian Open second round after beating British qualifier Liam Brodie in straight sets. The unseeded Aussie looked lively overnight, despite recently catching COVID.
When I tested positive, it wasn't great news. Obviously a week out of Australian Open. I had some doubts, a lot of messages saying if I was going to play, and I just couldn't ask for a better team, honestly. The last week has been tough, but I did isolation. My girlfriend was there, and I was lucky enough to just have a tennis court, just hit some serves.
Alex de Minaur won his opening match, while Jordan Thompson and Alexei Poprin both lost in 5 sets. To basketball, and the Adelaide 36ers have upset Perth by 13 points at home last night. It was the Sixers' first match in 31 days, and captain Mitch McCarron is happy to be finally back on the floor.
Sitting in a house when you're not sick at all is frustrating in the middle of the season, especially with all the delays we've had in the past couple of years. So just really happy to be out with the boys again and having fun, and happy to get a W.
To cricket, and Australian coach Justin Langer is adamant he wants to hang on to the role despite speculation his time might be up. While in the Big Bash, the Hobart Hurricanes have kept their finals hopes alive with a 6-wicket win over the Melbourne Renegades. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, sunny with a top of 30 today, sunny tomorrow 35, Friday a late shower or two, also 35. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes after 6, good morning to you and welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, the return of Around the Court. Sean Fewster will be with us after 7:30, almost set in the studio, but of course in these troubled times that happens less and less. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens will be on the program. We'll talk to him about the path out of COVID. It's something that's now being openly canvassed in places like Europe, in the UK, in the United States. How does that conversation even begin here, given where we're at right now? We'll start it with the Police Commissioner after 8:30. And also on the program, Associate Professor Hayden Manning will talk about the sad passing of one of the most trusted voices in South Australian politics, Dean Yench. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, folks. Dean Yench, he has been a fixture on the political firmament in Adelaide for as long as I can remember. Feels like he's always been among us as a political analyst, and he was a long-term contributor to the Advertiser with his columns dissecting state politics. And every 4 years, or every however many years it used to be before fixed terms were brought in, used to be at the whim of the government of the day when the election was held. But you'd always see him on election panels and so on. He's a very nice bloke. I know quite a few people who were lectured by him, including our own Craig Munn, our station manager, when he studied politics at Flinders University, and my wife Kate when she did her arts degree at Flinders as well.
Yeah, I reckon I had him too. Actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because
what do you mean? I reckon. Have you got just vague recollections of that?
My attendance was spotty. He was definitely the dean of a department. I'm just trying to remember if he came in just to do lectures or actually had him, as your full-time course leader for whatever that area was. But he was definitely around when I was there. And he was I reckon one of the first interviews I ever did on 5AA was with him. Yeah. And at the time, for me, when I was being, a real young guy in my early 20s, I was a kind of a buzz. I remember thinking, wow, this is one of the go-to guys on South Australian politics. Yeah. And I'm chatting with him live on the air. That he had gravitas.
He was sometimes regarded as not bane is too strong a word, but I know that the major parties used to get a bit not irritated, but they felt that he was always talking about things like proportional representation and talking about like when the Democrats were very much held the sway in balance of power terms federally and also at the state level. He often seemed to think that was a healthy thing for democracy, which was, the last thing either the Labor or Liberal parties wanted to hear. But he was a great South Australian. And Stephen Marshall's just texted saying that Dean was one of his constituents. And he says, we caught up regularly for his signature long blacks at Cafe Bongiorno on the parade. So we'll chat more about him later in the show. Thanks for that, Premier. Generous, capable and insightful contributor, he says.
Yep, absolutely. Geez, this story on the front page of the Tiser this morning is absolutely extraordinary.
It's an unbelievable story.
The long and short of it is that New South Wales government have basically compulsorily acquired rapid antigen tests bound for South Australia. So there are tests that, the wholesalers are doing the distributing and retailers are doing the distributing. So there's a lot of private enterprise in this. But, you have your Johnny's chemists. Let's just invent one. So we don't know who's actually directly provided this letter for South Australian Senator Anne Ruston. But let's just say it's Johnny's chemists. They've got rapid antigen tests. They're going to sell a few to their retailers here in Adelaide. And the New South Wales government have said, no, they're not going there. We need them to keep them here in our state. I think that's absolutely extraordinary.
It's unbelievable.
There have been moments over the course of this pandemic where our version of federation's been tested.
It's not federation; it's state of origin. It has been.
Sure,
it's been apparent because there's been so many examples of things like this happening. But this is unique in that it's all there in black and white for everyone to see.
It's just so bold. Yeah, they're writing a letter to the company saying, we're going to be keeping these.
The Tiser's got the letter. It says, to all our valued customers, it wasn't that we were ignoring you, it was a matter of the government taking all our focus and commandeering our stock that arrived since we put out the offer to you, rapid antigen test kits. The government has been commandeering all stocks in New South Wales for frontline workers. I fought hard with the government for us and actually thought we were too small to even register on their radar, but I was wrong. We are big enough for them to take what they want.
This is another moment in this pandemic where you scratch your head, ask the question, what do we actually pay the federal government for in this country?
Well, you know, what was Keating's famous line? If you're not living in Sydney, you're camping out.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, Sydney side is just... I love the place and I love the people. They're the most raffish bunch of lunatics in Australia. But they are completely upfront about their disregard for places like Adelaide. My very first day as a journo in Sydney would have been, I can remember exactly, it was May the 24th, 1999, because I turned 30 on the Saturday, had a party that Phil Curry organised for me, actually, at this old rental place in Deakin, moved from Canberra to Sydney, and it was when the Snowtown story had just broken. I arrived in Sydney on the Monday, caught the train down, up from Canberra, and rocked up at Macquarie Street, and there was this smart aleck work experience girl who was doing a 1 week placement at the Daily Telegraph's New South Wales Parliamentary Bureau, where that was my new job, heading up the bureau. And she goes, where are you from? I said, I'm from Adelaide originally. And she goes, oh, geez, with that Snowtown stuff, you got out just in time, didn't you?
Oh.
And I looked at her and I said, what are you, like year 10? That sort of took the wind out of her sails.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Be a little smart aleck.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone just constant jokes about serial killers and Russ built this and hand out that. The moment elections held, Daily Telegraph goes in a what's in it for Penrith mode. You know, the seat of Lindsay. What's in it for Lindsay?
Yeah.
They're the most pampered, self-interested people in the country. Yet they've got the nerve to look down their snide noses at people like us every time we say, well, hang on a minute. Why should you get all the rat tests?
Right now, if you can't get one of these things in Adelaide, it's because of the New South Wales government.
Now, I had my third jab yesterday. I had my top up, so if I keel over at any point during the show,
so far, so
know
good.
What's going on. Yeah, so far so good. Although my arm, I've got to say, colour never shows, but he's really, really hard and really hot, my left arm. But went to Terry White Chemist in Rundle Street, walk in, signs everywhere. Sorry, we're run out of rapid antigen tests. Late afternoon yesterday, Charlie thought he'd been stung by a bee, and Kate said, look, if you're going down to Foodland, can you nip into Chemist Warehouse, pick up some Stingos? Got to Chemist Warehouse, big sign out the front, sorry, we're out of rapid antigen tests. I reckon every chemist in Adelaide's got a sign up. And while I was at Terry White, I was there for, in and out getting the injection, but I had to wait 15 minutes for the aftermath to make sure I didn't keel over in the chair. I reckon 3 people came in saying, sorry, excuse me, you don't happen to have any rapid antigen tests, do you? Nope. Well, now we know why.
The lack of foresight and supply is one thing. Having them requisitioned by state government elsewhere, I think it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. We've forgotten to be Australians in this country.
Yeah, we have. And, Sydney's doing what Sydney does, total law unto itself on things like this.
14 minutes after 6. News headlines are coming up in a moment. We'd love to hear your thoughts, though. 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Parker text line 044808 1395.
Why do so many people love DIY? Well, mainly, it saves a lot of money. Introducing Termibusters, a DIY termite monitoring system that will save you thousands, and it only costs $270. The DIY Termibusters kit comes complete with 15 monitoring stations that you can assemble and easily install around your property. And the bonus? You'll save thousands protecting your home from termites. Termibusters.com.au. Do it yourself and save thousands.
Now, you can scan your Flybuys card at Bunnings Warehouse and Officeworks. Collect points on the latest tech, your DIY deck, barbecue bits, and back-to-school lists. 2 more places to collect Flybuys points. Get scanning. T's and C's apply.
As we get older, we want to be able to enjoy a better life and perhaps more importantly, want to be able to enjoy it in our own homes. So if your loved one needs some help to enjoy a better life at home, Southern Cross Care is here for you with their home care services.
Led by qualified and compassionate health professionals, their home care services will help you take care of yourself, your health, your home and your garden. Plus, there's no setup or exit fees with Southern Cross Care's home care services, giving you that extra peace of mind.
To find out more, visit southerncrosscare.com.au or call 1800 852 772. Southern Cross Care, better for life at home.
If you're going to test drive a new car, taking it around the block a few times, it's just not enough. So take a proper test drive at Jarvis Toyota Clovelly Park. The all-new Land Cruiser 300 boasts enhanced luxury and technology, making it a pleasure to drive both on and off-road. With a brand new 3.3-litre twin-turbo V6 diesel engine, it's the most powerful diesel Land Cruiser yet. Rediscover the road and take a proper test drive in the new Land Cruiser 300 at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park. Proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
With continued cases of COVID-19 across South Australia, now's the time to book your booster. Boosters increase your protection against all COVID-19 variants, including Omicron, and they're available 4 months from your second dose. Plus, there are now more clinics and more appointments to choose from. Book your booster at your local GP, pharmacy or SA Health clinic. Book your booster now at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
On the ceiling if you want.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
16 after 6 news headlines on this Wednesday morning. As we've been saying from the very top, millions of shipments of rapid antigen tests en route to South Australia have disappeared. Well, they haven't disappeared, have they?
No.
The reports of stock not arriving despite retailers paying in full and having confirmed delivery dates.
Disappeared means we don't know where they are.
Yeah, that's right.
The annoying thing about this story is we know exactly where they are.
Yeah, exactly right. We've got the paper trail to prove it. The New South Wales government have decided they're going to keep them there. Foodland CEO Franklin Dos Santos can't pinpoint where the supply is going.
As we can try and procure stock, and we've got lots of POs out there, we're seeing stock just not turn up. And it's happening whether it's at an airport level or even before it gets loaded onto the planes in Singapore and China.
Yeah, mystery solved, Franklin.
Yeah,
Dominic
exactly.
Perrottet is the one that has them and is keeping them in his state.
Well, you know, given their heritage, it's not surprising that when it comes to thievery, Sydney's going to lead the way.
It really shouldn't be the sort of the port that goods enter the country in, should it?
Well, given that, yeah, its origins. You know, releasing the hulk of convicted criminals there onto the tank stream where they all, smashed up the rum supplies and fornicated in the mud. Filthy bastards.
National Cabinet is...
They are uncouth people.
Oh, very.
No, they really are.
No, 100%.
I mean, I love them to bits. But, you know, you meet Sydney people and say, oh, where do you live? What'd you pay for your house?
Yeah, yeah.
Pardon me?
Oh, it's the bogan capital of Australia.
That's right.
It looks nice, though.
It looks pretty good.
National Cabinet...
It is the best-looking city in the world by a country mile.
National Cabinet is considering overhauling vaccination mandate rules, forcing more careers to mandate the booster jab. State and territory leaders will discuss whether a third dose is required to be fully vaccinated. Australian teachers, police officers and taxi drivers could be the latest cohort to require a third vaccine. You just mentioned you had yours yesterday.
Have you had yours yet?
No, mine's in about 10 days, I think. I wasn't eligible.
Yeah, right.
Because September 27, I got my second jab, I think. So
because it had to be, well, it was originally 5 months from your second jab.
Yeah, now it's 4 months.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things. I was trying to book when I was at, when I was after 4 months, but the web booking system hadn't caught up with the new policy. So it's going,
Oh, so it didn't let you?
No, but then I managed to get one at Cherry White. They got a good setup, Cherry White pharmacies.
Everyone who I've spoken to says going to a chemist was the most carefree and easy way to do this.
Yeah.
Just walk in, get it done. A huge employment event could be underway in Australia. In the US, they're calling it the Great Resignation. There's about 2 to 3% of the American workforce who are quitting their jobs every month to begin new careers. Driven by the pandemic, experts saying there's been a deep psychological shift in the way people view work. I've read a bit about this, and there's there's differing thoughts on why this phenomenon exists. I mean, some people are saying it's a purely psychological thing. People have had 2 years to sit at home and reassess their lives and say, I'm going to do something different, or you work out what's important to you. The other less interesting one is that for 2 years, a lot of people have said, well, I'm not quitting my job in the middle of a pandemic. So you've just got the pent-up 2 years' worth of everyone who normally would have quit and done other things, doing it as we start to slowly come out of it.
Tell you what, if you're in the market for a cheap second-hand food truck in 2 years' time, keep your eyes peeled.
Absolutely. There's going to be a few of those around.
Yeah, I think I'll start my own taco truck. Yeah, good luck to you.
Let's check the weather on this Wednesday, the 19th of January. Right now, 14.9 degrees outside, 30 the expected top. 30 to 50 k an hour winds this morning. It'll become light later in the evening. We'd have a really pleasant evening, you'd imagine, right across Adelaide. Tomorrow, a top of 35. Some showers around the place on Friday, 35 and up to 3 mils. Then it gets serious on Saturday. This is a significant upward revision, as we say in the weather business, David.
An upward revision.
I think it's a financial term.
It's an economics term, isn't it?
I've shoehorned it into the weather segment. 6 to 35 mils.
35?
35 mils of rain possible on Saturday if we get all of it. Sunday, 6 to 20 mils and a top of 31. And then Monday, more showers. This is the south for the garden. 1 to 6 mils on Monday, potentially as well. Some texts on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. Vince says, morning, boys. We're all in this together, remember? Just after we save our own arse. Written and authorised by the New South Wales Premier. Thank you, Vince.
Mark in Para Hills as well says, so New South Wales owns the Rats now. Why not? They think they own the cricket. What a mess. We'll probably mention this later on. Interesting video emerged from Tasmania yesterday of some of the lads.
We will play it in our 7:20 sports pod.
And nice sentiments here from Dean Gambarotto in Flinders Park. Dean Yench was my chemistry and physics teacher at King's College. He's a great teacher. I didn't know that he taught chemistry and physics as well.
I was not aware of that.
No.
Quite a career.
Good on you, Dean.
22 minutes after 6, 8223 or text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. We're going to talk sport in just a moment.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi, I'm Wayne from your local Go Vita store in Mount Barker. Come into any of our Go Vita stores for this great special. Nutrivital Vitamin D 1000 IU 200 caps was $22.95, now $13.75.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Monopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
Adventure has never been bigger with Royal Caribbean and Phil Hoffman Travel. On board you'll find next-level dining and game-changing entertainment. Plus Royal Caribbean's sun-soaked savings. Save up to 30% off every guest and receive up to $600 to spend at sea. Whatever your budget, every inch of a Royal Caribbean ship is designed to wow you. Cruise until April 2023 to the South Pacific, New Zealand, Australia and more. Ends 31st of January. Visit pht.com.au.
You might think having thousands of POWs is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 200 gins, 300 craft beers, 500 whiskies from around the world, and over 2,000 wines. But they're some of the best POWs you can have, and they're always looking for more. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. POWs, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Life is about choices, and there's plenty to choose from at a Barrow Hotel. Take the Excelsior, the Albion, the Birkenhead or the Sundowner in Whyalla, all brimming with choice, especially when it comes to the latest machines in a comfortable, safe environment, with amazing staff to give you the best experience. For the latest in machines and comfort, visit the Excelsior, the Albion Hotel, the Birkenhead Tavern or the Sundowner in Whyalla. You just know it's a Barrow Hotel. Gamble responsibly.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 6. We'll talk sport in just a moment. I'll tell you what, an event's dead when no one wants to host it. The Commonwealth Games. Now, the Commonwealth Games is a bit of fun because we win everything. Not so much fun that anyone wants to host it, though. Melbourne has emerged as the only city seemingly willing to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games. So the Commonwealth Games Federation, the group that, canvasses for interest and then assesses your capacity to host the Games, has found that there is not another city in all the Commonwealth countries that wants to host it.
Are we counted as one of the 50? Because Adelaide was going to put in a bid.
I don't think, clearly we haven't.
No.
I think we'd get it, considering Melbourne had it in 2006. So they would have it within, 20 years? Twice within 20 years.
COVID's probably a part of that too, where people just think you can't justify spending all the money setting up new infrastructure or even just the logistics of hosting it. I can't imagine it's a huge money spinner.
No. Oh, no, to be... And how much attention does it attract these days? Strikes me sometimes that we as Australians care about it more than anyone else.
Oh, yeah.
So...
Nothing like caning Vanuatu 56-4 in the netball.
Tom Wren is in Melbourne. He'll be as good a barometer as any on whether there's sort of, this groundswell of interest in the Commonwealth Games. Rennie, morning to you.
Morning to you, Will. You know what? They hasn't even registered over here from anyone. He hasn't even got a ripple at the moment, Will. So that probably says a bit as well.
Dan Andrews hasn't done one of those sort of, jump for joys like John Fay did in New South Wales when they said, and the winner is Sydney.
No, I haven't seen. Although he wouldn't mind some good PR, to be honest, would he?
That's true.
Maybe the Commonwealth Games Committee needs to do the reverse. The loser is Melbourne. Oh, no.
Damn.
Oh, now we're going to host the Com Games and check everyone's vaccine passports.
Exactly.
Hey, Rennie, Australian Open action last night, and you're all over it. What were your responsibilities over the course of the day?
Well, I had a couple of the female matches yesterday, and unfortunately I was a bit of a bad luck curse. Astra Sharma went down, and Daria Saville, who was formerly Daria Gavrilova, they both lost. So unfortunately not great. But then last night it was good to see Nick Kyrgios, and he got through in pretty much straight sets, and Alex de Minaur, after dropping that first set and looking a little shaky, he also got through. So that was really good. And today, I'm hoping that I'll have a little bit more luck when I'm calling Alexander Vukic. So was lucky enough to call his first round win, and he plays again a little bit later today. So a big match for him. But it was good to see. I wasn't really sure how Nick Kyrgios was going to go, to be honest. But I don't know if you saw the point where he just played it through his legs mid-point and then just ripped a forehand down the line. I think most people have gone past the point of being upset with Nick and all this talent that he's got, and wasting it and going, you know what, he is what he is. He's an entertainer. You can't take your eyes off him, even though he can be very frustrating at times to watch.
He's got Medvedev next, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got a tough one.
And he had COVID last week, didn't he? Curious?
That's right, and this is the thing. He's only come out of isolation a few days ago, so I wasn't sure how he'd go fitness-wise.
In madder shape than normal.
Well, that's it. He's barely played in 2 years essentially, so I thought he might struggle, but he looked pretty good, to be honest, considering he hasn't played much tennis at all. But I think it's clearly going to be a much sterner test next up.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, Tom.
Pleasure, boys.
Tom Wren, thanks to the wonderful Ken Hall Plumbers. Give Ken a call if the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris. Or, in fact, if you need anything done around the house, just call Ken.
Yeah.
It's a one-stop shop now. It's called Ken Hall Plumbers, but it should be called Ken Hall Does It All.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you like that?
Ken Hall Does It All.
Came to me in the moment. Ken Hall Does It All.
You're giving ideas away for free there, Will.
Yeah, well, Ken deserves it.
Some marketing firm that say, we'll come back to you in a month and it'll cost you $10,000 for an idea.
Well, there you go. There's one for free.
Yeah, what about that? There you go, Ken. It's all yours.
8223 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line after 7 o'clock this morning. We'll take you through some of the developing stories of the morning, including Boris Johnson now. He's progressed beyond, if you talk about the measures of politicians in danger, I think it starts as being in hot water. Then you're in strife. I don't know what the next one is. I'm thinking stuffed, but he is stuffed, Boris Johnson.
If we're talking liquids, he's gone from hot water and landed inside a gigantic party-sized punch bowl. That he just happened to find in the backyard. I didn't realise I was having a party in my own backyard. I walked out to the garden, there was a party going on.
You'll be invited to a party, you turn up.
Frightfully embarrassing, but I had to pop in and say hello.
He had to do the rounds, Boris Johnson. So you'll hear from him this morning after 7 o'clock. Also, we'll talk about the newest addition to the Adelaide Zoo, and also the Vodafone store in Adelaide's north that got smashed up. $100,000 worth of goods was stolen. We'll talk about that too.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 30 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
The race for rats is getting ruthless. Interstate governments are being accused of swiping almost 200,000 rapid antigen kits from airports which were meant to be headed to SA. The finger is being pointed at Victoria and New South Wales. Pharmacy Guild President Nick Paniaris says vulnerable South Australians are being impacted.
Clearly, the whole point to this exercise is to make sure we get prioritisation around the people that need them most. I've got members who deal with the vulnerable, disability and so forth, and they are struggling to get supplies to people that really need them.
A man suffered life-threatening injuries in a car crash at Door Park last night. His vehicle went into a tree at the intersection of Dawes Road and Borman Avenue around 7:30. The 37-year-old had to be cut from the wreckage. A man has been charged with the murder of a 9-year-old girl missing from a property in the Blue Mountains. Nine's Hayley Francis is in Sydney.
Detectives who have led search teams through remote bushland for almost a week have now charged Justin Stain with murder. The 32-year-old was arrested at a unit in Surrey Hills last night. He was refused bail and is due to face court later today. This breakthrough follows an extensive search of a property at Mount Wilson in the Blue Mountains where the 9-year-old girl was last seen.
We're being asked to think about how much sugar we consume as part of a new campaign highlighting the risks associated with sugary beverages. Australians down at least 2.4 billion litres of soft drink each year. Australian Medical Association President Dr Omar Khorshid says there are up to 12 teaspoons of sugar in a can of soft drink.
We are seeing levels of diabetes, of obesity, of damage to teeth that have just not been seen before. And it's such a tragedy when we know that sugar has got pretty much no place in our diet.
Melbourne is reportedly the only city willing to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Nine's Pat Mitchell has more.
The Commonwealth Games Federation finds itself in the rather embarrassing situation that no other city in its community of more than 50 nations is willing to bid for the event in 2026. The Age revealing the Federation has approached the Victorian Government and feasibility studies are underway to determine if the state can justify hosting the event with a focus on regional centres. Perth recently withdrew from the process as its Premier insulates the state from the COVID-19 pandemic. The economics don't add up for Sydney. Brisbane is focused on the Olympic Games in 2032, while Adelaide also recently pulled out of the running.
American officials warn Russia could launch an attack against Ukraine at any point. Nine's Michael Genovese has the details.
Extremely dangerous. That's how the US is describing the situation at the Ukraine border. The White House saying Russia could invade at any point. 100,000 Russian troops along with tanks and weapons are positioned at the border. The US Secretary of State will travel to Kiev tomorrow in a bid to bring stability to the region.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with tennis. Nick Kyrgios is through to the second round of the Australian Open, beating British qualifier Liam Brodie in straight sets. Nine's Jordan Tumbridge reports.
No signs of discomfort for Nick Kyrgios on John Cain Arena last night, despite testing positive for COVID-19 less than 2 weeks ago. Kyrgios defeated British qualifier Liam Brodie in straight sets, providing plenty of entertainment with a mixed bag of trick shots and interaction with the crowd. Also overnight, night, Alex de Minaur fought back from a set down to beat Italian teenager Lorenzo Musetti in 4, while Jordan Thompson, Alexei Popperin and Storm Sanders were among the locals eliminated. Coming up on day 3 of the tournament, Australians Ash Barty and John Millman are in action, as well as Rafael Nadal, Sasha Zverev and defending women's champion Naomi Osaka.
To cricket, and the Hurricanes have defeated the Renegades by 6 runs in the Big Bash, while the Strikers will get back key players Travis Head and Alex Carey for Friday night's eliminator. Head says he's keen to return to the T20 tournament.
I'd love to get back and play. It'd just be a case of what it looks like and what's coming up, but fingers crossed it more than likely looks like we'll play.
To soccer, an EPL club, Everton is said to be eyeing off former player Wayne Rooney for its vacant manager role, while back home a late penalty has sent the Mariners into its first FFA Cup final, defeating Sydney 1-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast: sunny and 30 today, up to 35 tomorrow and sunny, 35 again on Friday with a late shower or 2. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Keep on running.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. You run a pharmacy, work at a GP clinic, elsewhere that you kind of think of front and centre for the COVID response, and you need rapid antigen tests as an order of business. It's not a convenience for your workplace. It's literally the thing that's keeping the doors open. We want to hear from you this morning. What are you hearing about your supply, given that the South Australia's supply and some of our retailers are reporting they've been requisitioned, they've been compulsorily acquired by the New South Wales government. If that's directly affected you, we want to hear from you this morning. Call in and let us know. You can do so totally anonymously, of course, as well, on 8223 0000. NASA have just released some modelling about the force of the Tongan volcanic eruption. It registered at some 10 megatons, or 500 times as powerful as the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
500?
500 times as powerful.
My God.
It's why the fallout is still being assessed. The Tongan government has actually been able to release a statement to the world for the first time. They say it is, as you'd imagine, an unprecedented disaster. The government's confirmed 3 deaths, 2 locals and a British national who we heard about yesterday. Dozens of houses on the main island have been damaged. Evacuations from the worst hit islands are currently underway. They've got issues with water supply, which when we spoke with a volcanologist the other day, that was one of the real concerns. When you get something like this, it can affect the water. And as you imagine, flights have been temporarily halted. Sea transport routes are disrupted as well. For the Australian government's response, Senator Zed Seselja was on with Ray Hadley on 2GB yesterday.
That's going to be one of the main priorities as we seek to deliver humanitarian support to the people of Tonga, and is going to be restoring communications. And so when we send those C-130s out of Amberley, which we hope will happen tomorrow because the airport is still shut today, but there's clean-up going on at the moment. So we hope those C-130s will be able to get to Tonga tomorrow. And part of what they'll have humanitarian equipment, they'll have shelter, food, water type things, but also telecommunications equipment. So we're working with Telstra to see if we can get some more satellite capacity, and that will be, I guess, the short-term fix to those communication issues.
On COVID, when we look to the eastern states, sometimes they've been, when they're not stealing our tests, they've been a sign of things to come and issues and challenges that we're going to face here in South Australia before long, because they're further progressed down the line with regard to infections and how much this virus has overtaken the community. Well, in Victoria yesterday, they issued a code brown, which is for their health services, what they usually do if there's been something like a Burke Street Mall incident, or there's been...
Or a bushfire.
Or there's been a mass outbreak of asthma attacks because of thunderstorms, which you might recall a couple of years ago. Here's Dr. Steve Parnas in Victoria on 3AW.
So in short, it's an external disaster. Things that are happening outside of the hospital system that impose extraordinary pressures on the system. The examples that I would turn my mind back to would be things like when we've had major widespread bushfires, the thunderstorm asthma event, or a 3 or 4 day major heat wave. They're the sorts of examples that I can remember over the last decade or so.
Feels like you wonder too the depth of staffing within health, probably more so in private health, on account of closed international borders for 2 years. How often have you gone to get, a dodgy twisted ankle from a gardening fall seen to, or had some sprain checked out, or something that's maybe non-essential, or indeed at the other end of the spectrum, you have had to go to emergency with one of your kids or something, and you end up being seen to by a nice young nurse with a thick Indian accent.
Yep.
Like, there'd be so many people who are coming under the skilled migration program, probably hundreds of them.
Well, that's how if there's ever a skill shortage, usually that's what we do. We open up
particularly in country towns,
exactly.
in regional Australia, none of these people have been able to get in for 2 years. So there's not really much fallback option.
No, we can't backfill like we usually do.
No.
We just say, well, let's bring in 100 people who can do this job right away.
Yeah.
Bang, issue solved.
Yeah.
And the issue's never been bigger than it is now. I find the one thing that's really peculiar at the moment and difficult to tease out, because I'm not sure who's closer to being right. In Australia, Code Browns in Victoria, we're talking about emergency departments and ambulance ramping and issues here in the South Australian Health Department. We're talking about a lack of tests and access to them right around the country, irrespective of what the New South Wales government's doing. And it feels very much we're in the eye of the storm for the first time. But you read everything right now in the Northern Hemisphere, and all the discussion is about when can we say this is over?
Yeah.
Because the feeling is it's really close.
Well, I read a really good article this morning on my way in. This is January 18 from Reuters. I'll read you the intro, and it sounds weird and sounds counterintuitive reading it out. The day after, I'll get the figure right, yesterday, in human terms, and these are all people we're talking about here, Australia experienced its deadliest COVID-19 day since the pandemic began. A total of 77 deaths were reported on Tuesday in Australia.
Yep.
2 deaths here, 36 in New South Wales, 36. That's the biggest loss of life in New South Wales. This is what the Reuters article says. Governments worldwide are easing quarantine rules, reviewing coronavirus curbs, and dialling back pandemic-era emergency support as they bid to launch their economies back into some version of normality. The moves, motivated by the lower severity of the Omicron variant and the need to keep workers in work and the global recovery on track, have generated a whiff of optimism that has lifted oil and stock prices. Health experts say the variant's rapid spread may yet herald the turning point in the pandemic.
There are two conversations happening, and it's a very different one in Australia at the moment.
In the last 48 hours, one of my closest mates, 4 members of his family have got it, and they're all ensconced at home, self-isolating in Adelaide's inner west right now. I hope they're doing well if they're listening, but I know from what my mates told me they're all doing fine. They're just sitting around going, oh, yeah. Well, we've got it.
I read that same article this morning, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to I want to check on some of this. And you look at the Dow Jones Index, which is the list of all the major companies on the US Stock Exchange, or the FT 100 in the UK. What are they saying? Where's follow the money? What are investors doing? What are big businesses doing? How are they acting? You drag that map out a year, and it looks like the economy's booming. Right now, it's all through. It's on a year-on-year analysis. These things, the money suggests this is very soon to be over. People aren't pulling back; they're spending. Businesses are growing. It's just worth noting because it feels like it's a long way away in Australia, but around the world it doesn't feel like it's a long way away.
No.
So I wonder if we need to readjust our perspective a little bit.
Yeah, well, we do.
17 to 7, 8223 0000 our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm at Barker text line. Tough to do when you've got another state pinching all your tests. We want to speak with a pharmacist or someone who works in healthcare or other places that haven't been able to get access. How do you feel about the fact that right now it's been revealed the reason we've got a shortage here in South Australia, or at the very least orders that have been made to supply these places, they won't be getting it because those tests have been compulsorily required by a state on the eastern seaboard. Let us know your thoughts. We're going to check traffic in the meantime, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. At Brooklyn Park, got traffic lights playing up on Sir Donald Bradman Drive near Airport Road. Mitcham got a burst water main there. That's on Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Melrose Park, water main works continue there. That's on Dawes Road near Winston Avenue. Speed restrictions in place. And Mile End got restrictions for works on Henley Beach Road near South Road. Keep an eye out for cameras today. Whites Road, Paralawi and South Terrace in the city. A new and An independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW and discover the range of new, demonstrator and pre-owned vehicles. Search Glenelg BMW. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom. So every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morfett Vale, driven by Australian Motors. LVD 80.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer at Western Hospital, Henley Beach. The pathway towards freedom following the borders reopening is being fully supported by Western Hospital. We are dedicated to keeping you safe and playing our part in contributing to the statewide COVID management plan. Our contribution ranges from maintaining our intensive care unit and workforce and continuing to educate and vaccinate our community. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. For more information relating to our contributions, visit westernhospital.com.au.
This is Paula. Paula loves her pool. Nothing beats a refreshing splash in the sun. But Paula has a problem. She gets the gilts having the pump on all day. Well, Paula, save your gilts for walking through the house with wet feet, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free clean pools all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Dry your feet, Paula. NRGsolar.com.au.
Ray White, big name in real estate, but also the biggest name in business broking. What makes us big? Our people, like Brett Buckley and his team. MBA, lecturer, and multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year. Brett doesn't just read a P&L, he feels it. If you're selling or expanding your business, Brett can take your business apart and find you more money. And we're not talking small change. Go on, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
13 to 7, we'll go round the courts with Sean Fewster after 7:30 this morning. Then a little bit later today, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens will be on 5AA Breakfast. First, let's check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes is on the line. Rebecca, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Teenager's been arrested for dangerous motorbike riding. What's happened here?
Yes, he was spotted about 9:45pm last night on the Grand Trunkway at Port Adelaide doing about 120 kilometres an hour in a 60 kilometre an hour zone. Now, Polly was called in to track the motorcycle as it travelled north. The rider was actually seen losing control and dropping the bike near the intersection of Elizabeth Street and South Terrace, Kapunda. He'd gone all the way into Kapunda, and while he struggled with the bike, police moved in and arrested him. He's a 16-year-old boy from Albert Park, and he's been charged with speed dangerous, ride without due care, breach the conditions of his learner's permit, and ride without number plates properly attached. His motorcycle's been impounded for 28 days, and he's been bailed to appear in the youth court in March.
And Rebecca, great result here. I was only marvelling yesterday about the inconvenience for these, 60 city motorists who've returned to their cars after this halfwit had gone around slashing them overnight on Monday. And the tow truck operators must have been licking their lips because they would have had no way of getting the cars out of town. But the good news is you've made an arrest.
Yes, and it was actually more than 90 cars that were damaged. People kept going out to their cars during the day and reporting more and more damage, and we really thank the public for their assistance in this, and we hope to have a final tally. But a man's been arrested and charged over that. More than 90 cars damaged early Tuesday morning. A lot of tyres had been slashed in the southwestern quarter of the CBD, and really inconvenient for people, not just one tyre that you could replace with a spare and get on with your day, but it was often two tyres, and so it meant that the cars had to be towed. So following an investigation and extensive searches for the suspect throughout the CBD yesterday, Eastern District Police arrested a 39-year-old Nova Gardens man just before 9pm last night. He's been charged with numerous counts of property damage, and he'll face court today.
Bit of a salient reminder too that there's plenty of CCTV around town, isn't there?
Oh, exactly, and we had so much CCTV, so it was a full job yesterday to just go and get all those reports from all those victims collate all this CCTV and do the search as well. So a really great job by Eastern District Police there.
Absolutely. Good on you, Rebecca. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes from SAPOL. Let's talk about the weather. Jenny Horvat, Senior Forecaster on duty at the Bureau this morning. I just had a look, Jenny. So top of 30 today with the winds easing off later. Is this sort of perfect evening conditions in Adelaide today, do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll be seeing an easing of the winds today. So yeah, and we are looking at a pretty warm overnight temperature. So it will be one of those pleasant, warm summer evenings ahead. A bit breezy this morning, but those winds are lightening during the day. And as you mentioned, we are looking at 30 degrees in the city today, 32 for Elizabeth, 29 for Glenelg, 28 for Noarlunga, and Mount Barker looking at around 27 degrees. We did get down to around 14 degrees and not that long ago, so it's a little bit of a chilly start this morning, but things are warming up. It'll be warm overnight with a minimum of 21 degrees for Thursday morning and a maximum of 35. We've still got that warmth continuing on a Friday, 35 degrees, and then it gets a bit tricky. We've got an upper system with some with a low-level trough and picking up some of that ex-tropical cyclone Tiffany moisture that will start to move across from the west. It's been hanging around the northern parts of the state. Looks like we'll come into western districts on Thursday. It looked like it was going to make it into Adelaide late on Friday, but it looks like we're going to have to wait till Saturday, so it looks like Friday's going to be dry. And then maybe even a bit later on Saturday, we'll just have to wait for that timing, so it looks like Sunday could be the wetter of the days for the weekend. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky situation as we head into the weekend with a bit of warmth, a bit of humidity, and a bit of moisture coming through, with the chance of seeing some thunderstorm activity developing maybe later Saturday and continue on Sunday, with maybe even some significant falls with some of that thunderstorm activity. And we are looking at some significant falls out in the pastoral districts and the west coast over the next few days as well. And we could see that moisture hanging around for the start of next week as well, guys.
Great stuff, Jenny.
Good on you, Jenny. Thank you for that. Jenny Horvat, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau, confirming what Tessa coined yesterday as pina colada weather coming
Pina
up
colada
this
weather.
weekend.
I love the term.
9 minutes to 7.
Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nurriutpa and Clare has always been well worth a trip. And even more so now with their 38th birthday sale. To celebrate, Steinborner has scoop purchased SA's biggest range of vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range. Plus, great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Where will you find Australia's best cyclists this January? Racing, climbing, weaving and flying their way through South Australia as the Santos Festival of Cycling returns. Follow the riders as they battle for supremacy in this action-packed 9-day event featuring road, track, paracycling, BMX, mountain bikes and cyclocross. Plus a thrilling 3-stage men's and women's National Road Series race through SA's most scenic regions. Get excited and get involved. January 21 to 29. Visit tourdownunder.com.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now and it's sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. Plenty of stock is arriving daily, but you'd better hurry, they'll be snapped up. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Glideroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Glideroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
I would like to see optional preferential voting instead of compulsory preferences. If I have 5 candidates on my ballot paper, then I'll make every effort I can to find out about those 5 candidates. And I might decide to myself, there's 2 I'd be happy to have elected to Parliament. Those 2. The other 3 I wouldn't feed. So why do I have to put preferences by them all? I have to give a preference even to those three who I reject totally as representatives of me.
The great Dean Yench demonstrating why he was one of the most trusted voices in South Australian politics, sadly. He died yesterday, aged 85. Hayden Manning is Associate Professor, you heard on 5AA. Like Dean Yench many times over the years talking politics, and a long-time colleague of Professor Dean Yench. Hayden Manning, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning. Sad day.
Yeah, no, it certainly
Absolutely.
is, Hayden. And I know you're at the University of South Australia now, but my understanding, Hayden, is you studied at Flinders. Did you, when you were a younger man, did you study under Dean?
Yes, but the most fortunate thing, when I first started at the university in 85 on a contract, Dean invited me to teach as his principal tutor in his topic on voters' parties and elections. So I had the opportunity, in a sense, to study and study again and again with Dean as his tutor and listen to his lectures, which were always outstanding, and students loved them. We all had, an enjoyable time, not only just, listening, but learning from a guy how to think. And that's the thing about Dean. He never really pushed down the students' throats a particular opinion. He presented viewpoints. You make up your mind. And I think that's really the legacy of Dean throughout all his political commentary and his teaching. He did his best to be as objective as he could. I mean, no one, is free of values and opinions, of course, but that's what he taught me when I went on to do commentary. Try to help people understand the puzzle, Hayden, first and foremost. Obviously, put forward a view, don't be lame on that, but the main job was to try to be objective and present various avenues for, inquiry so people make up their own minds.
He was a terrific explainer of often complicated concepts, wasn't he? And I think that's one of the things that, one of the reasons that we get people like you on shows like this, Hayden, is to walk listeners through things that you might not always be across. But Dean really was the master of that, wasn't he?
Well, absolutely. And I went to his lectures year after year as his tutor because I just enjoyed watching. I knew a lot of the material he had to relay to the students. It was the way he went about it. Exactly what you're saying. Walk you through. I mean, not talk down, but walk you through. Simplify, walk people through. And as we went on in these topics, it got a bit more complicated, of course. But always done with that, he's a great Aussie sense of humour. He always had people laughing. Sometimes these days would be deemed a little bit politically incorrect, but, Dean was great fun.
Good.
Yeah.
We applaud
always
that here.
Good fun in that regard. And the other thing, as I say about Dean, as a work colleague, many academics can be, axe grinders and, get hobby horses, etc. Dean was very level-headed. I mean, I can't think of any of my colleagues that disliked Dean Yench. I mean, certainly plenty of us dislike each other. But Dean sort of rose above it all in his own way. Look, he's a great bloke. I mean, he's sort of an odd fellow in a way to end up as an academic. He taught school. He was a school teacher first, so he learned his craft there, and then he did his degree, his PhD later. I mean, it must have been in his mid-late 20s, and then he finally scored his job at Flinders Uni in the early 70s and was there for, 40-odd years, or 30-odd years, yeah.
Great tribute, Hayden. Associate Professor Hayden Manning from Flinders University offering his thoughts in tribute to Professor Dean Yench. Big hole for the Tizer to fill. That was a regular weekly column there. I'd have to say that he's pretty well close to irreplaceable. And our thoughts and sympathies go out to his family today.
And I wonder too whether the ease with which he was able to convey complicated topics to people is a bit about his career path that Hayden Manning mentioned, because it makes a bit of sense.
Yeah,
you start
totally.
out talking to school kids, and then you go back into academia. You don't go from being an academic student to writing a PhD and then becoming a professor.
Yeah,
he had something that grounded him in between.
Well, the thing about teaching at the high school level is you often work on the basis that people know absolutely nothing about the topic you're about to discuss.
That's right.
Like if you start doing, I don't know, thinking back to my years, modern European history in Year 9, you start with, the rise of German fascism in 1933, and Hitler being elected and so forth, and you do it on the basis that the 25 kids you're talking to know absolutely nothing about it, which is actually a really good way to approach topics.
Absolutely. Wendy's furious on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line. I know this because she says, I'm furious about the compulsory acquisition. She says, what else can we expect from these self-righteous upstarts? I guess it stems back to their convict origins. Nothing to see here. Great to have you both back on air. Thank you, Wendy. It's good to be back.
Good on you, Wendy.
Wish we had better news than these thieves from the eastern states.
I like the one from Sue in Christie's Beach as well. This is about the Commonwealth Games bid. This is the event that everyone in the Commonwealth seems to want to avoid like the plague. Sue says, good morning, guys. My guess is nobody's game enough to try to win the Commonwealth Games, given the odds of them being called off.
Yeah, well,
imagine that.
I actually think that's a glass-half-full assessment of the interest there might be in hosting the Commonwealth Games. I think Sue's given them a bit of cover to suggest it's COVID-related.
Maybe a lot of people were worried that they wouldn't be called off.
7 o'clock, 5AA News on the way. Boris Johnson in hot water. You'll hear his sort of Bojo-style explanation of all that's going on at the moment in a few minutes' time.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 30 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
Interstate governments are being accused of helping themselves to almost 200,000 rat kits en route to SA. There are claims the in-demand rapid antigen tests have been swiped at Sydney and Melbourne airports. Local retailers are not receiving stock despite paying in full and having confirmed delivery dates. Foodland's CEO Franklin DeSantos says it's frustrating.
As we can try and procure stock, and we've got lots of POs out there, we're seeing stock just not turn up. And it's happening whether it's at an airport level or even before it gets loaded onto the planes in Singapore and China.
A peak industry body says the federal government is taking a very optimistic approach to easing pressure on the public health system during the pandemic. Canberra partnered with the private hospital sector in 2020 to ensure their resources could be used to support public hospitals. Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt says up to 57,000 nurses and more than 100,000 staff will be deployed to Omicron-affected areas. But Private Hospitals Association Chief Executive Michael Roth says that is extremely unlikely.
That's the very optimistic figure of the total private hospital workforce, if that were to be made available to the states. So you can't deploy all of those staff out of private hospitals, or there'd be no one to care for the patients who are currently in there.
A car's gone into a unit and fence at Salisbury Park. Patrols and paramedics were called to Fendon Road around 8:30 last night after the ute made contact before coming to rest in a nearby reserve. The driver, a 48-year-old from Salisbury Park, was taken to hospital with a minor head injury. The occupant wasn't injured. Investigations are continuing. The government in Tonga has confirmed the death toll from that volcanic eruption and tsunami over the weekend has risen to 3. Charity groups and governments are working to provide clean water and restore communications. Red Cross International Response Manager Sophie Ward says it's a dire situation on the ground.
We are trying to pull together the information from a number of different sources, and what we're hearing is that there is damage. Most of the damage, though, seems to be a result of ashfall from the volcano. We're also anticipating and hearing stories about damage to houses and homes along the coastline of the West Coast.
Jordan De Goey faced a US court via video link this morning. The Collingwood star is accused of assaulting a man in a New York nightclub in October last year, but he'll have to wait until next week to learn his fate. The matter has been adjourned until January 28, with his lawyers tasked with finding a program in Australia for him to serve any possible sanction. Boris Johnson is denying allegations he lied in Parliament in what could be a make-or-break week for his prime ministership. Nine's Alison Petrowski is in London.
Boris Johnson's former right-hand man has become his biggest headache. Dominic Cummings claiming he has evidence proving the Prime Minister knew he was breaking the very rules he had created, authorising the Bring Your Own Booze event during lockdown in May 2020.
Nobody warned me that it was against the rules. I'm absolutely categorical about that, because I would remember that.
The suggestion that he lied in Parliament potentially grounds for dismissal. Boris Johnson refused to engage with any suggestions that he should step down.
Will you resign? Well, let's see what the report says.
That report is expected to be handed down within the next week.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and Nick Kyrgios will face Daniel Medvedev in the second round at the Australian Open after beating British qualifier Liam Brodie in straight sets. The unseeded Aussie opened up about his battle with COVID in the lead up to the match.
The first couple of days I was bedridden. I honestly couldn't. I was sleeping like 17 hours a day. I was obviously concerned that I wasn't going to be physically ready to play. I just took it day by day and, I just looked at the bright side, took a bit of pressure off. But I was just so excited to be here. First match of the year.
Aussie Alex de Minaur won his opening match, while Stefano Tsitsipas, Andy Murray and Emma Raducanu are also through to the second round. To cricket, in the Brisbane Heat take on the Sydney Sixers this afternoon in the Big Bash. Last night the Hurricanes beat the Renegades by 6 runs to book a spot in the finals.
And that is a sky ball racing around, and it's been taken by the captain, Matthew Wade, who has somehow managed to claw his team back into this.
To basketball, and the 36ers have knocked off the Perth Wildcats by 13 points at home. Coach CJ Brute was proud of his men, who showed little signs of rust despite it being 31 days since their last game.
Having to wait so long was a frustrating part, sitting at home, guys dealing with COVID, and then to come out and play like that. The boys played well.
Finally, in the EPL, Chelsea is up 1-0 against Brighton, while Everton is said to be eyeing off former player Wayne Rooney for its vacant manager role. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Brooklyn Park, traffic lights playing up on Sir Donald Bradman Drive near Airport Road. Mitcham burst water main, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. At Melrose Park, water main works on Dawes Road continue near Winston Avenue. Speeds reduced and a few cameras about for the driving today. War Memorial Drive, North Adelaide. Salisbury Highway, Parafield Gardens and Gorge Road at Athelston. Telstra Day is on tomorrow. Get unreal deals on a range of accessories, phones and more. Don't miss it. Tomorrow only in-store or online at telstra.com/Telstra Day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast: sunny and 30 today, sunny tomorrow 35, Friday a late shower or 2, also 35. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 7, Sean Fuster after 7:30. Our first around the courts of 2022. Looking forward to that. And our first catch-up with the Police Commissioner will be happening after 8:30 today. Lots to talk to him about, including the potential expansion of the vaccine mandate to more professions and indeed redefining fully vaccinated to perhaps being boosted. Not just having been jabbed twice, but 3 times. We'll get into all that with him after 8:30 today.
I've done the hat trick now, as of 12:10 p.m. at Terry White Pharmacy in the mall yesterday. I tell you what, the Rundle Mall, you could fire a cannon down the Rundle Mall at the moment.
Sad, isn't it?
It's terrible.
It's quite confronting when you go into the city. There's just suddenly you think, oh, the traffic's good today. Then you realise there's no one here.
I counted the number of cars yesterday heading north up Pulteney Street after work. It was Monday morning and there was no one here because everyone's working remotely here at 5AA, like in so many other places, apart from on air and producers and techies and a few essential staff. But it's like any other workplace in town right now, particularly with the Premier having told people stay away if you can. The city, it looks like a neutron bomb has gone off. And when I was heading home, I counted 9 cars heading north from Highmarsh Square to South Terrace along Pulteney Street. 9 cars coming towards me. 9 cars at 9:30 in the morning.
Let's get into some of the stories developing over the course of the morning and while you've been sleeping, including more trouble for British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Now, you won't know who Christian Wakeford is. He's a Tory MP in the UK. But all you need to know is there are 7 of him in that he's the 7th MP, Tory MP. That's Boris Johnson's party to say he needs to be sacked. He needs to resign. There's 7 of them now. The civil servant who's investigating what they're calling the Partygate scandal in the UK has said she'll interview the, well, I think estranged is the right turn of phrase here, former aide of the British Prime Minister, Dominic Cummings, who says he's going to give evidence on oath that Boris Johnson lied in Parliament about the Downing Street drinks party that took place on the 20th of May 2020. The date is significant, and the reason this is such a big scandal is because at the time that this party took place, people in England were being arrested for meeting on park benches. That's not an exaggeration. These things were going on there. They had a strict lockdown that was strictly enforced by the police, and it was being adhered to by everyone, except, it turns out, the people that were making the laws. It was put quite bluntly, in a very confronting way, by Sky News presenter Trevor Phillips, who had a personal reflection whilst interviewing a cabinet minister about it 2 days ago.
At that dinner, I get a call, my daughter's collapsed, and as you will know, for months she'd been isolated, she was ill. By the following morning, she had died, and she had stuck to the spirit and letter of the rules. Now, there are going to be thousands of people who have that story in their background. And if I may say so, you are in here telling me about a civil servant's inquiry. That will not answer that anger. Does the Prime Minister really understand why people are angry?
That gives you a bit of background, a bit of insight into what the feeling is in the UK about this.
And it's one of those stories where at first blush it sounds so, it's got that utterly sort of upper-class twit British quality that makes the whole thing so laughable. But when you hear that guy put it so powerfully, that's actually the genuine human dimension of how disgustingly impertinent and entitled this whole thing is.
Absolutely, well said. And in the last 2 hours, Boris Johnson has answered some questions.
So if Sue Gray uncovers a different version of events and it emerges you did mislead Parliament, will you resign?
We'll have to see what she says, and I think that she should be given the space to get on and conclude her inquiry. And I would urge everybody who has knowledge of this and understand, memories of this, to tell her what they know.
So you'd like her to interview Dominic Cummings?
It's not for me to decide who she's got to interview, but I think everybody who has memories of these events should tell her what they know.
If it emerges you've misled Parliament, will you resign?
Well, let's see what the report says.
Now, it's that hackneyed political cliche, but he didn't rule it out. I think he's coming to grips with his political mortality, Boris Johnson. 7 in the party quickly becomes the number required for there to be a spill.
Oh, yeah, totally.
7's not one.
If 7 can twist the arms of 7 others,
that's right.
It's on for going on.
Well, we should say, too, as we know how these things work, 7 public.
Oh, yeah, privately, how many more? You could probably double it.
Exactly.
You could probably triple it, actually.
Yeah, that's right. So,
but the entire thing, the fact that he's defended it for so long, there's a very funny meme doing the rounds of the two guys in Little Britain, and one of them's reading a statement, and the caption says, "I accidentally walked into a party in my own backyard." And that's pretty much what his defence has been.
Exactly. He didn't know it was a party, but he just hung out there. And
but how detached must you be from normal people in the middle of this really hard lockdown where people are being told you can't visit your loved ones as they're dying, to be putting on the sort of, orifice crystal punch bowl, and they're all standing around drinking gin. There's all these gins lined up.
Yeah, it's
just disgraceful.
It's disgusting, really.
It's the final scene in Animal Farm, is what it is.
It really is. Exactly. From Downing Street to Salisbury Downs here in Adelaide, a Vodafone was smashed into by 2 masked bandits yesterday, and $100,000 worth of electronics was stolen. I didn't realise they would have had $100,000 worth on, but I suppose that's what...
Well, you think it's 100 phones?
100 phones, yeah. It adds up really quickly, doesn't it? Here's Nathan Riley from the Hollywood Plaza Vodafone speaking to Channel 9 last night.
2 guys smashing their way through the doors over there. Full smash the glass, and then they smashed through the store. It's got over $100,000 worth of iPhones in there.
Just extraordinary. Hopefully they're caught up with by police. The Adelaide Zoo, this is exciting, welcoming a new attraction. A tiger, a Sumatran tiger called Delilah, has just emerged from quarantine.
Delilah immediately, once she was seeing Kumbali, was chuffing to him, which is a friendly greeting between tigers, and she started doing a lot of calling, which also Kumbali is reciprocating.
Just a bit of friendly chuffing, David.
Chuffing.
Yeah, I don't want to be so close to know how friendly it is.
That's right. My wife took her 2 youngest kids to the zoo yesterday. They had a marathon 6-hour visit. Great place to go in the midst of all the continuing lockdowns. If you're worried about getting out and about, there's nothing better than, you know, the outdoor environment of the Adelaide Zoo. We're blessed to have it. Those tigers, I watched a video about them last night when I was putting Sam to bed. They reckon 500 to 800 Sumatran tigers left in the wild. 500 to 800.
That's all?
Yep. They get in a breed, be doing a good thing down the road there.
Well, let's not get into that just yet, shall we?
Well, the chuffing's off to a flying start.
Hey,
hopefully they don't take any tips from Wang Wang and Fooney.
No, that's right. Keep them
What's
well
your
separated.
secret, mate?
Yeah, that's right. Different relationship counsellor, please.
That's right.
The wonderful world of online streaming means there are so many outlets now that need to make new content that the easiest thing in the world to do is just to find something old and make it again, usually with the same people involved. And so is the case with Tim Allen and the Santa Claus.
Well, to top it off, I have to get married by Christmas Eve. Otherwise, I stop being Santa Claus.
What? No!
The desantification process has already begun.
Wait a minute. You do look thinner, and your beard is shorter. Am I right?
You're right. You're right. Apparently, it's called the Mrs. Claus.
Last time he appeared as Santa Claus, he was 15 years ago. It first started the franchise 28 years ago. It's going to be a TV series. It's going to be a limited series on Disney+. But again, and there was an interesting piece written about this on CNN in the last week or so. One of the actual nice byproducts of there being so much need for content and entertainment is a lot of its actors and actresses, well, they're all actors, should I say, these days, that get to an age where they often get unofficially retired, and that doesn't happen now. You've had Disney Plus have that terrific crime show with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
Oh yeah, I really want to see that.
It's really good. It's fantastic. But there's a place for these guys now to play and do it, either reboot some stuff they've done previously, like Tim Allen's doing with this, or do something entirely new. Because they're people you can trust. They've got track records and products and fan groupings. But it's nice. It's extended the age of people's ability to work in the industry.
It's interesting, though, to think about. There's an entire category of films that are not only never going to get remade, but in these times where people are so quick to read badness into what is, you know, comic stupidity. I watched The Jerk with my son Jim.
Yeah, that one's not getting remade.
But it's such a great film. Steve Martin's The Jerk. Probably came out about 1977, 78. Unbelievably funny film. But I think the entire premise of it, these days, even though all of the black characters in the film are the smart ones, I think people would just have, and you know the type of people I'm talking about, there's po-faced wowsers, would just immediately go, no, that's not going to fly.
Yeah.
You know, a dumb white guy, born or adopted by a black family in Mississippi, who grows up thinking that he's black. It's the most absurd premise. But I think these days they'd have a quick meeting about that one and go, no, we're not remaking. We're not doing The Jerk rebooted.
I think it's time the vast majority of people that don't get offended by all these things.
When's the Blazing Saddles remake going to happen?
Exactly. Wasn't it telling the Time Person of the Year reboot that The Guardian tried to do in the last few weeks with, you know, who should have been Time Person of the Year, and J.K. Rowling was leading the poll, and then they took it down and just cancelled the entire exercise.
Oh, unbelievable.
Wasn't the right answer. 7 after 7, and time to check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Beverley, got a burst water main, Port Road just before Woodville Road. That's as you're heading outbound. Brooklyn Park, traffic lights playing up on Southern Brabham Drive near Airport Road. Mitcham, got a burst water main there, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. And Parracombe, got a smash on Parracombe Road near the Golf Club. That's causing delays. Cameras today, Glen Osmond Road in the Parklands and Midway Road at Elizabeth Downs. Need new flooring, blinds or rugs? Earn double Qantas points at Carpet Court across all carpet, hard flooring, blinds and rugs. Double Qantas points on now at Carpet Court. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
So you've got a will. That's good. But do you know where it is? Or when it was updated last? Have your circumstances changed? An old or poorly thought out will can leave problems for your family and those you love. And it can be expensive to sort out. Don't let that be your legacy. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help carry out your wishes. Wills and estate planning? Visit donlanlawyers.com.
Let me tell you about St Kilda Hotel. Legend has it,
Long before the Schnitties and St Kilda playground over there, this pub was a hideaway for the daring few who wanted a cold one after hours. A watchman kept lookout for cops, and this secluded little pub became a sanctuary for the few that knew about it. Still is. Good old school hospitality. Now you know. This table's waiting for you at St Kilda Hotel.
Now it's a new year, but one thing that hasn't changed is Adelaide's scorching summer, and keeping cool can often mean big electricity bills.
Thankfully, Zen Energy is changing the way we think about energy in Australia. The new year is a great time to kick off with positive choices, so why not join the charge to a better future? Solar and battery solutions are the best way to reduce your carbon footprint, cool your home or heat your pool, save money on your power bills, and take the heat out of summer with Zen Energy.
Enjoy all the fun of summer with energy generated by solar and stored in a battery to use when you need it most, like keeping the beer fridge cool and powering your sound system and your party lights.
Contact the guys at zenenergy.com.au, Adelaide's most trusted renewable energy providers, and keep cool this summer.
Hey, it's Rory Sloane. For 20 years, the team at Jarvis Toyota have been helping South Australian families keep that "oh, what a feeling" feeling. Over that time, Jarvis has put their support behind Variety, the children's charity, as platinum sponsor of the Variety 4-wheel drive adventure. And they've got plenty more support to give. If you're about to rediscover the road, make sure you take a proper test drive from the range at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of support.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes after 7. Mark Bickley's been in for Rowie on the Sports Show. We're here from a bit of the show last night. And we've managed to source some audio, David, that you're referencing a little bit earlier regarding the Australian cricketers and they're partying into the... Well, it's not really the wee hours. They're sort of into the mainly the middle of the day.
I got to say, maybe this is sending the wrong type of message, but it filled my heart with joy seeing that South Australia represented at the very business end of that session. T-Head and A. Carey both front and centre, mountain of Cascades in front of them.
It's Test cricket.
Yeah.
It's about your ability to last sometimes in difficult conditions.
Yeah, no, Trevor Head, he certainly carried the bat. Last Friday was the final proper day of my holidays, and I've got to say it was one of the nicest days of my holidays. I was down at Aldinga and I was reading the Tigers website that morning, and they reported that overnight, or in the days prior, a very large section of the old jetty at Rapid Bay, easily one of the prettiest towns in South Australia, had fallen into the water. It's a hugely popular area with scuba divers, on account largely of being the home of the leafy sea dragon, but it's got that beautiful sort of rock bed that goes a long way out. And a new jetty was opened there back in, I think, 2009 from reading the plaque. But I was reading the article and I said to Kate, if you want a quiet afternoon, I'll take the two young boys down to Rapid Bay. We just drive down and I was showing them the pictures. And I went, oh, wow, what, the jetty's collapsing into the water, is it? And it's like, well, I don't think it's actually going to be plunging in there in real time when we get there. But it's just such a pretty spot to go, and you can do that walk down to the northern end where they've got those amazing, beautiful caves where you can actually get in quite deep. But the jetty itself was built in 1940, and it really is like completely twisted and bent out of shape. Simon Rothwell is the mayor of Yankalilla Council, and we thought we'd get him on. Simon, thanks for your time. I was reading in the article, because clearly this is an area that's used a lot by not just the divers, but by a lot of fishermen. There are about 5 tinnies out in the water the day that I was there. With the sort of ongoing sort of collapse of the jetty, does it pose a risk to people at the moment? Like, do they have to keep away from it?
Yeah, look, Department of Infrastructure and Trade actually put a thing on the internet recently advising that there was a partial collapse back on the 10th of January, and they've advised that they've done some initial inspection work on the damage, with works to follow soon. So currently they've advised people to stay out of the vicinity until they've done that work down there.
Because I read on one of the diving websites, there were people saying they think that the jetty should be rebuilt. I mean, it seems a bit muddle-headed, given that you've already rebuilt a brand new jetty next to it. Surely there's no serious... Is there a serious discussion about possibly getting it back into working order?
Look, I don't believe so. It was decommissioned or shut down on Christmas Eve 2004. That jetty was built back in 1940. BHP had it back then as a limestone and dolomite mine. I think that they assessed it back then about if they could repair it, but the cost was far too high, so they decided to build this one, as you said earlier, in 2009 by the state government after a lot of lobbying. I don't believe the other one will be reinstated. Far too much to spend on it.
Yeah, it provides excellent structure though for all the excellent sea life underneath, I guess. So it's not going to be torn down though, is it?
No. Well, look, that'll be up to the Department of Infrastructure and Trade. As you mentioned before, like the Leafy Sea Dragon, we're world renowned for people diving there. It's a really a good spot to see them, as well as the little bit shyer weedy dragon. 49 species of fish, and they all congregate around the old pylons of the old jetty. What they decide to do there, I'm not sure. Council joined with federal government and Adelaide Brighton Cement got some funding to build some new dive change rooms and toilets and showers there to help divers. So given that's happening, I'm sure that they will do their best to make sure it still remains open for people to dive safely around it.
Good stuff. Simon Rothwell, the Mayor of Yankalilla Council. Thanks for joining us this morning on 5AA. Such a great part of the world.
Beautiful.
The camping ground. I reckon a lot of our listeners have fond memories of weekends down at Rapid Bay.
25 minutes after 7. Mark Bickley in for Stephen Rowe, who's off sick this week. Last night caught up with former English Test captain Michael Vaughan, who's a pretty good commentator, I think, too, at the moment. And he's had a bit to say about the next coach of the English cricket team and suggested a replacement that's pretty close to home.
And he's at the minute in the position of being the head coach of Australia. I personally think, if vacancies became available, and at the minute they're not, but if Justin Langer lost his position with Australia and Chris Silverwood lost his position with England, I wouldn't bat an eyelid of getting on the phone to Justin Langer. I think his kind of mentality, his kind of method, he's that kind of leader that I think players would be a bit fearful of. I think that's required in this era. I think it's just all too friendly. Yeah, it's not available at the minute because vacancies aren't there, but if the vacancies were there and he was available, I think Justin Langer would be the perfect appointment for the England cricket team.
We've got New South Wales still in our rat tests. Now the hapless English cricket team wants our cricket coach.
They want our cricket coach. Well, it seems odd now, but 2 months ago there was a question whether we wanted our cricket coach.
Well, I think it's interesting, and Michael Vaughan alluded to this. I think that's because there's a few sooks on the cricket team who think that Justin Langer's too hard on them. We've just won 4-0. I reckon that shows that he's doing the right thing as a leader.
It strikes me that Justin Langer's done a power of work repairing the culture of that team as well. When you think where it came from, and then there was that really heartening image of them celebrating the Ashes win where Pat Cummins said, "Hey guys, put away your drinks for a second so Usman Khawaja can come in."
Yeah, for sure.
Because they were spraying champagne everywhere, and he walked away because he doesn't do alcohol. That's not his religion. That's not his thing. So he walked away. Pat Cummins saw it and said, "Hey guys, do it," and they all just did it.
Yeah,
no one questioned it for a second.
I thought it was great.
Culturally, he's done some really wonderful stuff.
And as that video showed, there was plenty of time for drinking after the post-match presentations anyway.
Oh, you mean this one?
Too loud.
We got Nathan Lyon.
Yeah.
There's Carey. See you in the morning, everyone.
Yeah, see you in the morning, everyone. I think the morning had well and truly arrived. Hey, on 82230000, let us know the last time you stayed up all night and why. Or text us on the Telstra Storm Barker text line 048008 1395. When was the last time you stayed up all night and what was the reason you did it? Love to hear your stories. Maybe you won the Ashes. 28 minutes after 7.
Maybe you lost them.
Maybe you lost them.
Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nuriootpa and Clare has always been well worth the trip. And even more so now with their 38th birthday sale. To celebrate, Steinborner has scoop purchased SA's biggest range of vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range. Plus, great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
Connection. That's what family is all about. For 45 years, the FIVEaa family has been forging connections with premium winemakers, brewers and distillers from across the country, and increasingly right here in our own backyard. These connections ensure you're getting the very best from the very best. For example, FIVEaa uses a controlled storage environment so every bottle is kept at the temperature its makers intended until you take it home and savour it. FIVEaa, your local independent SA family liquor stores.
To stand the test of time, you need to be tough, made of the good stuff. You need style and tons of character, just like a Playford paver. Playford Pavers, one of the few companies that still make their own pavers for driveways, outdoor entertaining areas or paths in a great range of colours and textures. And because Playford Pavers make their own, you'll always pay less. Visit playfordpavers.com.au. playfordpavers.com.au.
If you need a window, and not just anything will do, just call Statesman Windows. Factory direct to you.
Nobody beats Statesman Windows, not on quality and certainly not on service. Windows, sliding doors, bifolds and more, made right here in Adelaide, factory direct to you. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows, states.com.au.
Windows when and where you want them. Oh, windows when and where you want them.
With continued cases of COVID-19 across South Australia, now's the time to book your booster. Boosters increase your protection against all COVID-19 variants, including Omicron, and they're available 4 months from your second dose. Plus, there are now more clinics and more appointments to choose from. Book your booster at your local GP, pharmacy or SA Health clinic. Book your booster now at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 30 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
SA retailers say millions of dollars worth of rapid antigen tests bound for our state are missing. Interstate governments and big business are being accused of taking our supply. Pharmacy Guild President Nick Paniaris is demanding answers.
There are some that have got stock. There are corners of industries and government that have got stock, and there's a lot of us that don't have stock. So if so much stock is coming into the country, it's clearly not getting distributed either equally or fairly, or is getting redistributed to whoever pays the highest price.
The MFS were called to a fire at a house on Loretta Crescent at Salisbury Downs shortly before 9 last night. 2 people were treated for smoke inhalation and taken to hospital as a precaution. Rachel Kinlock from the MFS says the damage is limited.
The fire, which is considered accidental and as a result of unsafe child fire play and experimentation, has caused approximately $20,000 in fire damage to the bedroom and smoke and heat damage to the hallway.
A man's been charged with damaging over 90 cars in the city early yesterday morning. Senior Constable Rebecca Stokes says the 39-year-old from Nova Gardens will face court today.
A lot of tyres had been slashed in the southwestern quarter of the CBD and really inconvenient for people, not just one tyre that you could replace with a spare, but it was often 2 tyres, and so it meant that the cars had to be towed.
The search for a 9-year-old girl missing in the Blue Mountains has led to a man being charged with murder. The 32-year-old suspect has been arrested in Sydney and will front court today. More than 100 people have been searching dense bushland for any sign of the girl, who was reported missing on Friday. Charity groups and governments are racing to get much-needed supplies to Tonga. HMAS Adelaide will deliver vital supplies to the Pacific nation, which has been left devastated by a volcanic eruption and tsunami. Australia's relief efforts in the country are focused on restoring communications and ensuring access to clean water. Red Cross International Response Manager Sophie Ward says Tonga needs urgent help.
Some of the supplies we're sending include things like water containers. We're also sending mosquito nets to help protect against the spread of dengue. We're sending solar lanterns, which should help if the power is off, along with tarpaulins that can help provide initial shelter and can also protect those water sources.
The UK Prime Minister is denying he was warned about a drinks party at Downing Street during lockdown. Boris Johnson is now accused of attending a staffer's farewell in 2020. He's also apologised again for attending another gathering at Downing Street in May, which he claims he thought was work-related.
In retrospect, as I said to the House of Commons, Beth, if I had my time again, I would not have allowed things to develop in that way. And when I went out into that garden, yes, I should probably have told people, I should have looked around and said, well, we've got to go back indoors, or this isn't the right way to do things.
The Grammys has been rescheduled due to COVID. Originally set to be held in Los Angeles on January 31, it will be now staged in Las Vegas in early April. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
What's happening in the tennis, Jace Kemp?
Plenty happening with the tennis today, with 5 Aussies are through to the second round of the Australian Open after day 2 of the tournament. Nine's Jordan Tunbridge reports.
Australia's top-ranked player in the men's singles draw, Alex de Minaur, advanced to the Australian Open second round with a 4-set win over emerging Italian teenager Lorenzo Musetti. Nick Kyrgios comfortably defeated British qualifier Liam Brodie to set up a clash with second seed Daniil Medvedev, who he's beaten twice from 2 encounters back in 2019. Chris O'Connell, Madison Inglis and Sam Stosur advanced during the day session, while Jordan Thompson, Alexei Poprin and Storm Sanders were among the locals eliminated. In other results, Andy Murray took out a 5-set thriller, while Stefanos Tsitsipas, Simona Halep and Emma Raducanu also had wins.
Ash Barty, Alexander Vukic and John Millman will be on action later today. To basketball, and the Adelaide 36ers have upset the Perth Wildcats at home by 13 points. Daniel Johnson top scored, while captain Mitch McCarron narrowly missed out on a triple-double.
Fans get the win, they get free Hungry Jacks as well. And the Adelaide 36ers stay in touch with the top teams in the competition.
To cricket, and Australian coach Justin Langer is adamant he wants to hang on to the role, despite speculation his time might be up. In the Big Bash, the Hurricanes booked a spot in the finals with a 6-wicket win over the Renegades. And finally in the EPL, Chelsea are 1-0 up over Brighton at half-time. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Beverly, look out for a burst water main this morning. That's on Port Road near Woodville Road heading outbound, causing a few delays, so take it easy around there today. Dry Creek got those asphalt works continuing on the Salisbury Highway. That's in Kibbon Road, speeds at 40 k's. And also look out for another burst water main. This one's at Mitcham, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Cameras today, Phillip Highway, Elizabeth South, Gorge Road, Athelston and Whites Road at Paralawi. NAB Modbury is now open in a new location at Westfield Tea Tree Plaza. Visit the new NAB Modbury today for greater personal service, expert knowledge, digital tools and support. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, sunny and 30 today, up to 35 tomorrow, then a late shower or 2 and 35 on Friday. Right now it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 8, talking all night as the Australian cricket team did one. We just played the audio where they were told it was bedtime because they had to get it, see you in the morning. I think the fateful last phrase was, even though it was closer to the middle of the day. In any case, we're asking you this morning, when was the last time you stayed up all night and why? Yuri in Beaumont's called in. Morning to you, Yuri.
God dang, boys. Welcome back.
Good to be back, Yuri.
You're still celebrating.
Yeah, surely yours is the grand final, isn't it?
I've got a permanent premiership T-shirt in the back of my van. I look at every day.
Don't tell us you've been awake since September the 28th or whenever the grand final was, mate.
Not wrong, buddy. No, seriously, over 20 years ago, I started as a courier. One night I'm watching a bit of late-night TV, and I called Belinda in. My wife said, what the hell's going on? And I couldn't go to sleep. What else? 9/11.
Of course.
Good one, Yuri. That makes a lot of sense. What was it, about 7, 8 p.m. our time? Or was it a bit later than that?
I was in Newcastle that night. It was about 9:15, I think, when it happened, from memory.
And then
But I stayed up till about 5 a.m.
Yeah. I reckon the whole world was glued to the television when that happened. Yuri, that's a
really good one, Yuri.
Great suggestion. In a very different tone, Ben Jordan on Twitter has said the one person who could give the Aussies a run for being out all night is the octogenarian Barry, who stayed out all night last August after our karaoke night at Lasing. Oh, yes. Hopefully Barry is well, wherever he is.
Exactly.
I know he's happy wherever he is. Barry.
Right.
And Clarkey says stayed up all last night to get into night shift mode for Thursday night. Minor Clarkey. Of course, if you're living that life, you've got to adjust, and sometimes you've got to do it in a fairly striking way. Good on you, Clarkey. Thank you.
My latest recent one was 2016 after the Sturt Torrens Grand Final.
I know. I bore witness to you staying up all night.
4 a.m. I got home.
Mind you, I don't
from
think
the
you didn't stay up as late as the Australian cricket team.
No.
I reckon there were periods you nodded off before 9 o'clock that morning. Let's go round the court. Sean Fuster from The Advertiser joins us for the first time in 2022. Sean, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to breakfast.
Thanks for that, Sean. Good to have you back on the show again for 2022. Hey, now I'm glad you're on today because I was reading one of your pieces yesterday, scratching my head. How is it that a bloke can allegedly deliberately drive his car into 3 cyclists and then end up having the charges dropped?
You know, it would be lovely to be able to give you an answer, but unfortunately, SA Police don't seem to want to answer emails at the moment. Because this was exactly my question when I walked out of the hearing for James Leslie Reardon at the Adelaide Magistrates Court yesterday. As you said, Pembo, this is the guy who was charged over that incident a couple of months back. You had those cyclists coming off their bikes at Taparoo and Osborne August last year that cops had alleged that a stolen Ford Fairmont had rammed a cyclist, throwing him off his bicycle onto the verge of the road. Second driver forced into dirt verge, and a third to be thrown off his bike. Bikes destroyed, injuries to the people, things like that. This man, Reardon, Mr. Reardon, was charged. Yesterday they just dropped everything.
And gave no explanation as to why?
No explanation in court at all. The defence counsel said, well, Your Honour, look, we're here for charge determination, which is the date when the prosecution's supposed to stump up and say the case is going ahead, or we're going to upgrade the charges, or we're going to downgrade the charges. And instead the prosecution said, well, Your Honour, charge determination hasn't been made yet. This is the second time we were supposed to do it. Still hasn't been made, and I'm authorised to withdraw everything.
Wow. But presumably they had evidence to have laid the charges in the first place.
Well, if you go to the Advertiser website, there's actually evidence that we were given at the time, some, I suppose you wouldn't call it dash cam footage because it's on a bicycle, I guess rear tyre footage of a car coming up from behind a bike and certainly, you know, getting very, very close, inching closer and closer at the time. Of course, the allegation that would have had to have been proven beyond reasonable doubt was that Mr. Reardon was the driver behind the wheel of that car. It looks to be, you know, you could say that it's a fact that something happened between a white car and these bicycles, but whether or not you could prove beyond reasonable doubt that Mr. Reardon was the driver. And the only thing I can speculate at this time, absent SA Police actually answering the Tiser's emails, is that's the problem they ran into.
Is it possible there's a more boring explanation that basically the date was set that they had to establish the charges they were going to bring to the court, and for whatever internal reasons they just haven't been able to build the case, not through lack of evidence, but because of workload issues or because they're running behind or didn't meet the deadline? Is it possible it could be something like that?
Yeah, absolutely it could, Will. We saw that last year with a couple of big cases, including some fraud cases where prosecution came in and said, look, we need more time to build the case, and the court would say to them, you can't have more time. You can come back and relay the charges at a later date if that's what you want. So the other question we've got for SA Police that still has yet to be answered is that the case? Are you withdrawing at this time and going to come back later? But again, no answers have been forthcoming.
Sean, the first piece of yours I read when I was on coming back from holidays made me fearful for the future of this segment. I was wondering how we're going to go around the courts if suddenly every court matter is suppressed at the moment. We're winning the gold medal on that front, aren't we?
We are indeed. I'm thinking that if we have to do the segment during an increased suppression, we can do like the adults on the Peanuts show, you know, the wah, wah, wah all the time, make that noise. That'd be a good way of doing it. It'd be some good radio. But no, the South Australia has returned to its, well, not quite returned, gotten very close to its record levels of suppressions, 245 suppression orders in 2021, which is back toward the sort of levels we were seeing during the bodies in the barrels trials in the early 2000s. It's a massive, massive uptick, and also represents a big change because we had those legislative amendments in 2007 that were supposed to stop mass suppressions and suppression orders being put on top of suppression orders. Yet with the Operation Ironside, that's exactly what we're seeing. You got a situation where, let's say, for example, Pembo was charged with something in the magistrate's court. They'd suppress his identity there. But then when they tried to seize his assets in the district court, they'd suppress his identity there again. But then if he was co-accused with a different charge in the magistrate's court, despite those two suppression orders, they'd put a third one on there again.
It's interesting when you contrast it to some of the very positive steps that the federal court took to allow greater access to the Djokovic hearings on account of the public interest component to it. I mean, I would have thought something like Operation Ironside's got public interest written all over it.
Well, that's right, and yet we do have this mentality in South Australia that comes from a couple of full court of the Supreme Court judgments that says, no, suppression orders aren't futile these days. If the court can do anything to stop even one potential juror from being prejudiced, the court has an obligation to do it, which flies in the face of, as you say, the Federal Circuit Court rulings in what's being done in other jurisdictions. I mean, Victoria's still worse than us. They're over 300 suppressions a year. But when you see that South Australia, with all its legislative change, with that push for transparency, is worse now than New South Wales, which is usually the silver medalist, you've got to ask questions as to what's going on and why. I mean, I was in a case yesterday where, because of the sex offender laws, everybody involved in the case was suppressed. You couldn't report it because that's, standard to protect an alleged victim. Yet the prosecution and defence were asking for suppression orders to be put on top of that standard suppression order. And I said to the magistrate, you can't do that, Your Honour. It's beyond power, it's duplicitous. And thankfully the magistrate agreed, but this is the mentality that we're seeing come through the courts as we roll into 2022.
Well, hopefully we see less of it, Sean. Good on you, and looking forward to chatting with you over the course of the year.
Thanks, guys.
Sean Fuster, Chief Court Reporter at The Advertiser, joining us thanks to Crime Stoppers SA and Police Credit Union. Supporting better communities, crimestoppersa.com.au. Got a text on the Telstra Stormount Park, a text line about pulling an all-nighter. Guys, the last time I stayed up all night was the midnight flight home from Bali. Crying kids, people still partying, a line up to the toilets. Couldn't wait to get back. Enjoy the day. I reckon the worst flight I've ever been on in my life was the direct flight back from Bali once. And it was because of those reasons. Plus, I had Bali belly. It was the worst. Honestly, even the thought of it gives me chills.
Mate of mine had a similar problem flying back, and it was an overnight flight too, with the Bali belly, but from Jakarta. He was in a pretty bad way by the time he got back to Adelaide.
My goodness. Lots of confessions, like this one from Will in Goodwood, who says, guys, living in Goodwood, the wife was happy when I left Woodville District Cricket Club and went to Goodwood Cricket Club as the travel man. I didn't get home till late after training. First training at Goodwood. Met some old cricket buddies, hadn't seen for years. Didn't get home until 5:30 a.m. the next day. My comment of, well, we're just putting in a big pre-season, didn't go down particularly well. Thank you, Will. Lots of suggestions to that effect.
Good one from Lockie, too. A couple of days after the Pinery bushfires, I happened to get on the Terps at the pub with some good mates from the local CFS brigade, which went all night, well into the morning as the sun was coming up. The fellas decided they wanted to have a debrief of what could have been done differently at the brigade level, and as the only one there who wasn't a CFS volunteer, I offered to take notes for them as we continued with breakfast beers on a mate's front porch. Good to have you guys back on the wireless this week. Good on you, Lockie. Thank you.
Thank you, Lockie. 14 minutes to 8 and time to check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Beverley, got a burst water main, Port Road, just before Woodville Road. That's as you're heading outbound. Mitcham, got another burst water main. This one's on Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Parracombe, got a smash on Parracombe Road near the Golf Club. That's causing delays. And Bowden, expect a few delays there too. That's Hawker Street near Park Terrace due to those closures on Torrens Road. Cameras today to Kettleville Terrace, Kent Town, and South Terrace in the city. Don't miss the Commonwealth Bank Women's Ashes T20 international matches. Australia versus England live January 20, 22 and 23 at Adelaide Oval. Search Ashes tickets now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The time is now. AC8 O'Connell brings new life to this landmark location. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. A connected community with arts, culture, sport and entertainment on your doorstep. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at AC8 O'Connell. More than an address. AC8 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him. deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead. Who offers great value cover you won't regret? Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by FIVEaa Limited trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
Hyundai Nailsworth don't think that a test drive is good enough for you. No, they certainly don't. I know, because I've borrowed a couple of their cars and they're sensational. They'd rather you took a life drive. Now, what that means is that you can call into Hyundai Nailsworth, you can pick any car you like, and you can do life in it for an hour. So none of this is just driving around the block for 3 minutes when you're making a significant financial decision. You can get a sense of what the cars are like and how they're going to suit your lifestyle. Pick the kids up from school, go shopping, take a run up the freeway, take it home if you want, show it off to the family, make sure it fits under your carport, because that's what life is. Hyundai Nailsworth, it's the only Hyundai dealer in SA that strictly sell brand new Hyundais, including the new Hyundai Palisade, which is the one that I borrowed, fantastic car, the ultimate getaway vehicle for growing families, with innovative safety features, spacious interior, available in 7 or 8 seats. So call into Hyundai Nailsworth and take a life drive, only at Hyundai Nailsworth, 147 Main North Road, Nailsworth.
Not all milk is created equal. The Flurio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Flurio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Flurio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Flurio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
This is Shane. Shane loves his beer fridge. Nothing beats a chilled home brew. But Shane has a problem. He gets the gilts having it on all day. Well, Shane, save your gilts for serving subpar beer to your mates, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free cold ales all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Stick to pouring coldies, Shane. NRGsolar.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes to 8. Big story developing in the background of 5AA Breakfast this morning. Breaking at 8 is going to be must listen to after 8 o'clock. So make sure you stay listening. Story that's going to dominate conversation today. We'll have some more information on it for you very, very shortly. Let's check the weather today. I think it's less interesting today and more interesting for the rest of the week, where there's some parts of Adelaide. There's going to be 100 parts of South Australia. There's going to be 100 mils of rain over the weekend. Right now, 16.5 outside. Top of 30 today with light winds later in the day. It'll be windy early, 35 to 50 k's an hour, but drops off over the course of the day. 35 tomorrow and 25 to 35 k's an hour. So again, a little bit blustery. It sort of suggests that there is something coming, and there is possibly a thunderstorm. Not Friday. Friday will be 35 with up to 3 mils of rain, but when it gets serious is on Saturday. Up to 33. Humid, showers and possible rainfall up to 35 mils. That's in Adelaide. 6 to 35 mils, the Bureau is saying, with some winds that aren't particularly significant, but it's going to be very tropical feeling on Saturday. Sunday, up to 31 and possibly again up to 20 mils of rain. So we in Adelaide might get somewhere in the order of 50, 55 mils of rain Saturday, Sunday. Add in Monday up to 6 mils of rain, and you're getting up around the 60 mil mark, which is pretty extraordinary, very tropical, very unseasonal conditions here in Adelaide over the course of the remainder of the week. That's coming up. John Blake is coming up in just a moment. But first, Lucy's in the studio. She's got a podium for us this morning. Lucy, good morning to you.
Morning, guys. Lucy's podium today. It is Tin Can Day, January 19.
Oh,
Tin Can Day.
The Chariots of Fire is fitting for Tin Can Day.
Tin Can Day, Lucy's podium. I got three best things to come out of a tin can.
All right, let's go.
Oh. Will, you can hit number 3 there.
Number 3.
There's one bargain left in town.
Campbell's Soups. Try chicken with rice. Best parts of the chicken, fluffy rice, and 2 chicken stocks for extra flavor. About 6 cents a 7-ounce serving.
Sit right down and get your Campbell's worth.
Yeah, Campbell's. Well, it was the famous artist. It was
Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol, of course. He did the Campbell soups.
Now, these aren't actually in order. You guys need to rank them afterwards, but I've just labelled them 3, 2, 1. So you can hit number 2.
Heinz 57. You have meals to plan each day. You and Heinz can make them gay. Get together right away with Heinz 57.
Get together with delicious Heinz baked beans.
Heinz 57 baked. But how good's the jingle, too?
That was terrific.
So
that
catchy.
was sensational.
So catchy. Final one there, Will.
Let it shine beyond the mind. Golden circle, that's the way it's always been. Give me that golden sunshine. Golden circle, good times. Let that golden circle sunshine in.
All right, the golden circle.
Tinned pineapple, tinned
pineapple.
fruits.
Best things to come out of a tin can. For Tin Can Day, which I didn't know exists,
Yes.
I will celebrate it each and every year now. If you've got a suggestion for what should be on the podium for Tin Can Day, let us know on 8223 000. You got your rankings, David?
I thought, Lucy, would have gone the Free Shock flavoured beer. Given your infamous beer sculling on air moment.
If I was doing a modern podium, that would certainly be my number 1.
Of your 3, I'd go for the pineapple.
Okay, pineapple 1.
But personally, I'd say the canned tomato. Friend of the cook.
Okay.
Peeling tomatoes is a total pain in the neck. And for the quality of the tomato in tins, you really, unless you're making something requiring fresh tomato, you wouldn't even know the difference.
Campbell's soup for mine. Every time I have a soup out of a can, people are you serious? I am deadly serious.
Yeah, it's so
thoroughly
good.
enjoyable.
So good.
Lunchtime pumpkin soup, magnificent. Thank you very much in winter.
Excellent.
8223 000. Good podium, Luce. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Luce.
If there's anything that you think for tin can that comes out of a tin can that should have been on the podium, do let us know. We hate to make omissions for the podium. Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 204480 1395. It's time for John Blake. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Give them a call if you're after a job. 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
The Office of the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Stephen Marshall.
Yes, Julian.
Morning, Premier. Time for your daily rat.
Oh, do I have to?
Yes.
Oh.
I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
Rat lady.
Oh, I don't want to do this.
Premier, you have to set an example.
Oh.
And that means doing your daily rapid antigen test.
I find it very undignified.
Well, it's got to be done. Slide down in your chair. Come on.
Oh, we'll do it quickly.
Right, now. First of all, blow your nose to remove excess mucus. Oh dear. Undignified and revolting. Good. Did you remove the excess?
Yes, get on with it.
Right, now remove nasal swab from pouch, right, and insert into your nostril until resistance is felt. Right, here it comes.
Yeah, be careful.
Here it comes. Here comes the train.
Oh.
Chuff, 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 woo, into the tunnel. Roll the swab inside the nostril 5 times.
I hate
rolling
you.
inside your nostril.
Hurry up. This is...
Now, while I've got this up your nose, I'd like a pay rise.
Sure, whatever you want.
Right.
Oh.
Now, repeat in the other nostril.
Oh.
Open wide.
Oh, how do I open a nostril?
Oh, there we go. Right, done. Now, insert the swab into the tube. We should get photos of this.
Oh, what for?
We could put them on your election core flute.
Oh, great.
Now, invert the tube and add 3 drops onto the sample hole. Right. 3 drops. And wait 15 minutes for the result.
Oh.
And if it's negative, then that's a positive result. And if it's positive, that's negative. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, bloody hilarious.
If you need me, I'll be out here washing my hands in hydrochloric acid.
Well, from John Blake after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. More suggestions for Lucy's podium this morning coming in. Jim says beer's easy on Tin Can Day. Needs to be on the podium. Best things come out of a tin can. Frey Bentos pie.
What, pie in a can?
Pie in a...
oh, yeah, I've seen
yeah,
them.
maybe it's the tin bottom. I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, it's sort of a... Yeah, it
I
looks
remember
like
reading one of them at a party at a share house in about 1989. We had this themed party. It was called the Service Station Dinner Party, where everything we made, you had to buy it from the Caltex on Pulteney Street.
Oh, that's a great idea.
One of my friends, he designed this main course. It was called Hot Chicken Hero, served on a bed of cheesels. That was a late night. Speaking of late nights.
Yeah, Damien in Seacliff says best thing to come out of a tin can. Surely it's South Australian beer, a little bit more specific. Good nominations for the podium as we celebrate Tin Can Day.
Cooper's Pale in the can.
Everything's
made the transition nicely into a tinny.
8 o'clock, 5AA News on the way. Big breaking at 8 coming up. Stick around.
Don't let car trouble put the brakes on your adventures. FIVEaa now offers free FIVEaa roadside assist for a year with every new comprehensive car policy purchased before February 28, 2022. That's 24/7 assistance all year round. So go with FIVEaa, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 13 50 50 or go online today. FIVEaa. Get set, go. T's and C's apply. FIVEaa is an authorised representative of the product issuer AAI Limited. Read the PDS and TMD. Call for copies.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift.
When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service and hire.
Get a Toyota forklift.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 30 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
The state government is playing down talk other governments have requisitioned our supplies of rapid antigen tests. There are reports millions of tests bound for SA have gone missing, leaving pharmacists and retailers with no stock. A Sydney-based wholesaler claims its supply was commandeered, but the New South Wales and federal government have denied that. Our state coordinator Grant Stevens has received no request to requisition rapid antigen tests, and SA Health buys its tests directly from manufacturers and has not asked for any orders to be prioritised at the expense of retailers and pharmacies. The rear trailer of a B-triple road train has rolled as it was travelling along the Air Highway near the WA border. It happened about 40 kilometres east of Border Village and is partially blocking the highway. A heavy tow has been arranged, but it's not expected to arrive till this evening. Motorists can still pass through but are urged to slow down and drive carefully as they negotiate the crash scene. The truckie wasn't injured. A man's been charged with murdering a 9-year-old girl who was reported missing from the Blue Mountains. More than 100 people have spent days searching for the girl who was first reported missing on Friday morning. It's believed human remains have now been found. A 32-year-old man will face court in Sydney today. Charges against Collingwood's Jordan De Goey look set to be downgraded again. Nine's Michael Genovese reports.
After multiple witness interviews and a review of security vision, Jordan De Goey could face a harassment violation instead of an assault charge. It stems from an altercation during a Halloween party in a New York nightclub. Jordan De Goey's lawyers are searching for a suitable corrective program in Australia. He's due again in court on January 28th.
A new social media campaign is aiming to educate Australians about the health dangers of sugary drinks. A single can of soft drink can contain 12 teaspoons of sugar, which is contributing to obesity and preventable diseases such as heart disease. Jane Martin from the Obesity Policy Coalition says many people aren't aware of the risks.
We know that these drinks are having a detrimental impact and the industry is making huge profits from them, which is why they're pushing back on any controls. And education is important, but, you've got to have a lot of education a lot of the time to try and push back against the other influences that are shaping what we drink.
Melbourne is reportedly the only city willing to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Nine's Pat Mitchell has the story.
The Commonwealth Games Federation finds itself in the rather embarrassing situation that no other city in its community of more than 50 nations is willing to bid for the event in 2026. The Age revealing the Federation has approached the Victorian Government and feasibility studies are underway to determine if the state can justify hosting the event with a focus on regional centres. Perth recently withdrew from the process as its premier insulates the state from the COVID-19 pandemic. The economics don't add up for Sydney. Brisbane is focused on the Olympic Games in 2032, while Adelaide also recently pulled out of the running.
The Cincinnati Zoo has paid tribute to the late Betty White on what would have been her 100th birthday. They've named their 1-month-old blue penguin Rose after the character she played on The Golden Girls. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and Nick Kyrgios has set up a second-round clash with Daniil Medvedev at the Australian Open. The unseeded Aussie cruised to a straight sets win over Liam Brody. Medvedev says Kyrgios will be tough to beat in front of his home crowd.
He's kind of going to extreme almost all the time he's on court. That's why people love to watch him. Even if they hate him, they love to watch him, and that's his strengths.
Ash Barty, Alexander Vukic and John Millman will be in action later today. To cricket, and the Hurricanes have defeated the Renegades by 6 runs in the Big Bash, while Travis Head and Alex Carey will return for the Strikers for its finals eliminator on Friday night. Head says he's keen to play in the T20 tournament.
I'd love to get back and play. It'd just be a case of what it looks like and what's coming up, but fingers crossed it more than likely looks like we'll play.
To basketball, and the 36ers have upset the Perth Wildcats by 13 points. Mitch McCarron narrowly missed out on a triple-double, but after 31 days off, the Sixers captain says he's just happy to be back on the floor.
Sitting in a house when you're not sick at all is frustrating in the middle of the season, especially with all the delays we've had in the past couple of years. So just really happy to be out with the boys again and having fun, and happy to get a W.
In the EPL, Chelsea and Brighton are 1-1 in the second half. Well, finally in the netball, Australia has drawn with England 48-all in Game 3 of the Quad Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Beverley, got a burst water main, Port Road just before Woodville Road as you're heading outbound. Mitcham, another burst water main there, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Parracombe, got a smash on Parracombe Road near the Golf Club causing delays. And Flagstaff Hill, speeds reduced on Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road. That's for those upgrade works. Cameras today, Dutton Terrace, Medindi and Stanford Road at Salisbury Heights. Telstra Day is on tomorrow. Get unreal deals on a range of accessories, phones and more. Don't miss it. Tomorrow only in-store or online at telstra.com/Telstra Day. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast ahead of 30 today is a top for Wednesday. Sunny tomorrow, 35. Friday, a late shower or two, also 35. Right now, it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 8. Shortly we'll get you up to speed with some of the stories that have developed over the course of the morning, including up to 90 cars with their tyres slashed. SAPOL's investigation we got across earlier. You'll hear about that shortly. And big
what an
news.
Idiot.
Yeah, well,
there should be
39 years old.
39. 39.
Get a hobby or a job
Get a
or
life.
a life. Pick one.
Yes.
Also, big news out of New South Wales. There's been a murder charge laid in a case that the whole country's been following over the course of the last week. You'll hear that as it broke just a few moments ago. But first, it's time for Breaking at 8. It's been a huge mountain of feedback this morning to our conversation about Tizer investigation today regarding rapid antigen tests being compulsorily acquired by the New South Wales government, tests that were bound for South Australia. South Australian retailers that had paid in full for consignment of these tests were told, you won't be getting them because the government in New South Wales and Victoria have said, no, we need them here. So much for Australia. People are furious. The Premier of South Australia is on the line. Premier, good morning to you. Appreciate your time. What would you say to those South Australians waking up hearing this story that are just outraged?
Well, South Australians have every right to be outraged if these allegations are correct. I mean, any interference in the supply of rapid antigen tests to South Australia is completely and utterly unacceptable. My office first heard about this yesterday. We contacted governments interstate. They certainly don't accept that they have jumped the queue, but we think that there needs to be an independent investigation, and I'll be writing to the ACCC this morning. This is, I think, the right body if there has been an interference in a market, and certainly to see whether it was even legal.
Well, these tests, I mean, they're important for a lot of businesses to get back up and running so that they can get their staff in to make sure that people aren't infectious. So, you know, and the great cliche of COVID is we're all in this together. This suggests otherwise, doesn't it?
Look, the reality is that we know that there is a global shortage. Companies in South Australia have secured those supply chain, those supplies into South Australia. We need those rapid antigen tests to come in. Look, this is not just about business. It's also about people wanting to go and visit family members who might be in aged care or in other vulnerable settings. There's a million uses for these. We know there's a global shortage. We've got to be doing everything we can to make sure that we've got the right access here in South Australia. And if there has been any interference, well, that's quite frankly outrageous.
Good stuff, Premier Stephen Marshall, with a big development on that story. One other breaking at 8 that we have for you is we understand that the resumption of the netball season is under something of a cloud. This is on account of the fact that the southwestern parklands, Park 22 as it's known, there on the corner of Anzac Highway is obviously being used as the distribution point for the much coveted rat tests. There's been big queues, moving quickly though, happily, as people queue up in their cars to get their hands on rat tests. We've got some correspondence from the South Australian Uniting Church Netball Association, and it's important to stress the netball people aren't complaining about the fact that this part of the parklands, which is synonymous with netball in this town, is being used for the rat distribution system. The correspondent says the board supports the actions taken to make rats more accessible to people who are close contacts, but it goes on to say this will very likely impact the resumption of the summer season in just under 3 weeks. This document was written a week ago, and it also says that the board the netball board. They're trying to get some clarity. They've sought an urgent meeting with the City of Adelaide and also the Rat Hub management team to discuss the logistics of their operations, including possible timelines. They're not sure if the venue's still going to be operating as a rat distribution point when the netball season is meant to start, but our understanding is that they still haven't got any clarity around it. So for the many netballers who use that area, a few questions hanging over the future of the season.
Double bunger breaking at 8, always like that. 11 after 8. Some of the other stories that have developed over the course of the morning. An arrest's been made, a 39-year-old, as we said just a moment ago, from Nova Gardens, who police say now slashed up to 90 cars yesterday. Here they are a short time ago.
It's actually more than 90 cars that were damaged. People kept going out to their cars during the day and reporting more and more damage, and we really thank the public for their assistance in this, and we hope to have a final tally. But a man's been arrested and charged over that. Yeah, more than 90 cars damaged early Tuesday morning. A lot of tyres had been slashed in the southwestern quarter of the CBD.
So this bludger, what's the penalty going to be? Like, does he just get a fine for vandalism or whatever? Because my fear, why should QBE or why should AAMI, AMI, why should the SGIC, and why should any private vehicle owner, why should any of those aforementioned people be left 1 cent out of pocket for this? Because we heard from the coppers before that there were multiple tyres slashed on cars, meaning you couldn't put a spare on, so you had to get a tow truck. So dial a tow, you know, they would have had dozens and dozens of jobs across town. But the court should say to this bloke, you've got to reimburse everyone who was affected by this. None of this should be solved through insurance. Don't you think?
Well, one of the things I like that a US court would do in this situation is they'd say it's 90 times the penalty. Because you've done it 90 times.
Yeah.
Ours won't. We'll bundle all it up and it'll be some form of misdemeanour. But you're absolutely right. You should work to make amends.
Yeah,
well,
I
there's
agree.
no concept of working to make amends.
No.
Here. This person absolutely should. Big crime story that's broken this morning out of New South Wales as well. Here's Ben Fordham on 2GB.
Police have charged a man with murder. He is 32-year-old Justin Stein. He was arrested in Surrey Hills last night at about 8:30 p.m. It's my understanding that police have sadly found human remains that are yet to be formally identified.
Yeah, this is potentially a very, very sad story, of course. The entire country's been following the case of missing 9-year-old Charlize Mutton, who was missing in the Blue Mountains since last Thursday. Her mother and stepfather announced her missing on Friday. And that news just out of New South Wales sounds like it's the worst possible news.
Is this guy known to the family?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. That will all come out over the course of the day.
Oh, God.
And speaking of court cases, Jordan De Goey's charges are set to be downgraded to harassment second degree in the United States. His lawyers are searching for a suitable corrective program for him to attend in Australia. He is still under supervised release, will be due in a New York court via video on the 28th of January. Channel 9's Today Show reporting on an update to those charges for Jordan De Goey a little bit earlier this morning. 14 minutes after 8, let's check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Beverley, got a burst water main, Port Road just before Woodville Road. That's as you're heading outbound. Mitcham, burst water main, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Paracombe, got a smash on Paracombe Road near the Golf Club. That's causing a few delays this morning. And mile end restrictions for works on Henley Beach Road near South Road, speeds at 40. Cameras today, Dutton Terrace, Medindi, Halsey Road, Elizabeth East, and Whites Road at Paralawi. Got experience administering vaccinations? You can help the state government ensure we all get the COVID-19 booster. Visit sahealth.sa.gov.au/COVID recruitment. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Glenelg BMW also bring us Fuel Watch in each and every morning, and fuel is on the rise. It's on the way up. A high $1.80s is where you're going to find it in some places, but we've managed to scour Adelaide and find you some in the mid $1.40s, like the Liberty Main North Road at Nailsworth, where you'll get it for $1.45.9. BP on the Run, Churchill Road, Kilburn, $1.49.7. The United Port Road in Queenstown, $1.46.9, and the Liberty Marion Road at Marion, $1.45.9. We have a big wedgie family pass to give away.
The big wedgie?
I've got to make sure I say that right, otherwise it sounds less of a prize and more of a punishment.
What's second prize? A Chinese bird?
The big wedgie inflatable water park. Well, that's right. It's now on
always the worst.
West Beach Parks for the summer school holidays. Don't miss out. You can book your tickets now at thebigwedgie.com.au, or you can give us a call, 8223 0000. A little bit earlier, we spoke about Tim Allen reprising his role as Santa Claus in a new limited series for Disney Plus. Hasn't been in the role for more than a decade now. What other movie character should be brought back and given his own TV series? What movie character would you give their own TV series to? 8223 0000, and we'll give away a big wedgie family pass for you to have a bit of fun with the weather being hot like it is.
I've always liked the idea of a sort of light and breezy, zany sitcom starring Travis Bickle. What do you think of that? Oh, Travis, you've done it again.
Yeah,
one
family
for the taxi
drama.
driver fans out there.
Family drama starring Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, perhaps. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, or a game show. Call it.
Call it, yeah.
What do you think of that?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
8223 0000.
A sort of more menacing version of The New Price is Right.
You can text us too, but it'll be a caller that wins the big wedgie prize.
Where's Tom Duday when you need him?
Oh,
he'll be back, won't he?
He is back.
He's back.
I don't, can we announce that?
I think we can.
I think we can.
Breaking at 8:16.
I hope he knows that.
The dude
will abide.
Will abide again.
17 after 8. We'll get to some of your suggestions for the movie character who deserves a TV show right after this.
You know us for our bright blue vans. Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. We are the proud winners of the Product Review Award for Plumbing in Australia for 2020 and 21. Did you know we offer $0 deposit interest-free payment plans, have no extra charge for after hours, and can also often be at your door within the hour? Metropolitan Plumbing, Electrical and Air Conditioning. Available 24/7.
Not all milk is created equal. The Flurio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Flurio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Flurio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Flurio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
Are you looking for a career change? Well, how's this? Cleanaway, Australia's largest waste management company, they've got jobs available right now for truck drivers and mechanics. It takes great everyday people to help make a sustainable future possible, and that's what the people at Cleanaway do every day.
I, for a second, forgot we were talking about the good people of Cleanaway and just thought you were asking a pointed question.
That's right.
They provide
Day 3.
essential service to the community. It's not going that badly. Helping residents and businesses throughout the South Australian community to manage waste, recycle and be environmentally responsible.
And we've been talking about the Great Resignation. So in all seriousness, if you are thinking about doing something different, Cleanaway could be the place for you. Because there's stable work with paid overtime available. So if you've got your HR truck licence or mechanical qualifications, or you just want to do something different, Cleanaway want to hear from you.
Yeah, they'd be a great employer. A cabin could be your new office with a view that's never the same. To apply and find out more about Cleanaway's current opportunity, search Cleanaway Careers or visit cleanaway.com.au/careers.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it's sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. Plenty of stock is arriving daily, but you'd better hurry, they'll be snapped up. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local. Farewell the Mainline Drive-In with their last summer of movies on the big screen. Pack the family, friends and even the dog in the car for one last trip. Book at wallace.com.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
20 minutes after 8, Tim Allen played the role of Scott Calvin, who rather reluctantly and by accident became Santa Claus. He played the role on the big screen a number of times. He's bringing it to the small screen now with a new series on Disney+. So for the prize of the Family Pass for the Big Wedgie, we wanted you to tell us a movie character that deserves a TV program. Mark in Para Hills, good morning.
Good morning. I nominated Uncle Buck.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
Just a shame John Candy's not around to be able to play the role.
That's what I say. It's a shame John Candy's passed, but I reckon that would have been fantastic.
I'd watch the hell out of an Uncle Buck limited series. That'd be great. Great suggestion, Mark. Maddie in Manapara, good morning.
Morning, how are you, fellas, and welcome back.
Thanks, Matty.
Good on you, Matty.
Well, I know he already has a TV show on away, but I think Hannibal Lecter needs to come back as a guest star on MasterChef.
Oh, dear. That'd be confronting. Thank you. Thank you, Matty.
Plus.
Yeah, that's right. The up late version of MasterChef. Peter.
Hello, Goodies.
Father Beans. Peter in Paraka, good morning.
G'day, guys. How you going?
Good, thanks, mate.
A bit of Aussie flavour.
Yep.
The amazing Paul Hogan as Crocodile Dundee.
Yes,
that'd be good.
He can still do that. Yeah.
It's stunning that it hasn't happened. Well, I mean, it's
There was a sequel,
they
wasn't there?
did a movie sequel, of course. Maxine in Paralawi, good morning.
Good morning, gents. My suggestion is Woody from the Toy Story.
Oh, yeah.
Like an animated series. Tom Hanks.
Yeah, well, you'd never have to worry about passing away, would you?
That's true.
Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Maxine. Maybe we'll take one more. Mark in Summertown, good morning.
How you doing? Welcome back. It'd take a Lazarus, but Robin Williams is Adrian Cronauer, but have him run for the presidency of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be something.
Crazier things have happened.
That's just it.
They just did.
Thank you, Mark. Great suggestion. Lots of terrific calls. We've got some texts as well, I think, on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Someone said Anchorman. So, Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah.
TV
I don't
show.
think he's ever made a non-funny film, that guy.
You just watch the TV news at 6, don't you? That's Anchorman.
Yeah.
Who do we like for the big wedgie family
Well, I
pass
reckon let's
that's
give
up
it
for
a
grabs?
Maxine. She can get down there with the kids.
Yeah, that's a nice
Maxine.
idea. Maxine,
Yeah, thanks to
congratulations
everyone.
to you. The Big Wedgie Inflatable Water Park is on now at West Beach Parks for the summer school holidays. Don't miss out. Book your tickets now at thebigwedgie.com.au.
Prefer Australian owned? Want to support local businesses? Believe in community spirit? Want a deal on your energy? Of course you do! So, should you switch to Lumo SA? Of course you should! We're 100% Australian owned with a rewards program full of local finds. We're actively helping communities and offering amazing energy deals to boot. Call 131 5866 or search Lumo. SA residential customers only. Lumo Energy SA not available in all areas. Eligibility criteria and conditions apply. See website for details.
Ever heard of an ant coffin? Sounds funny, right? But having ants all over your place is no joke. The ant coffin from Termibusters is an effective way to rid yourself of black ants. It's easy and safe to use. Well, unless you're an ant. The ant coffin contains an environmentally friendly bait that worker ants take back to the colony. Then it's game over. Order your ant coffin now. Visit termibusters.com.au. termibusters.com.au.
Are you 65 or over and in good general health? Are you interested in helping your community? At FIVEaa, we're inviting people in Adelaide to participate in important vaccine clinical research. Learn more and register your interest today. Visit adelaideclinicaltrials.com.au. That's adelaideclinicaltrials.com.au.
If you need a window, and not just anything will do, just call Statesman Windows, factory direct to you.
Nobody beats Statesman Windows, not on quality and certainly not on service. Windows, sliding doors, bifolds and more, made right here in Adelaide, factory direct to you. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows, states.com.au.
Windows when and where you want them. Windows when and where you want them.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift.
When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service, and hire.
Get a Toyota forklift.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Every time that you walk in the
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 8. If you're just joining us, you missed a big breaking at 8 this morning. It came in response to outrage from South Australians about reports from the Advertiser that there was evidence that Eastern Seaboard state governments had seized rapid antigen tests bound for South Australia. There were retailers here in SA that had received letters and correspondence from their wholesaler saying, look, I know you've paid for these. I know you had the order. You've got the paperwork, but unfortunately we can't give them to you any longer because the government here has seized them from us. The Premier came on about 20 minutes ago to tell us that if it is as is reported, it is absolutely outrageous. And he said he's calling on the ACCC to investigate those claims of the tests not reaching our stores. Careful with his words. Said he'd spoken after being made aware of these allegations yesterday. He'd spoken to counterparts in New South Wales and Victoria and wasn't convinced that well, at least they had told him they weren't seizing these tests like had been reported. But he says it requires an independent investigation. And I think that's the bare minimum. People in this country deserve to know that, you know what, the governments that work for them are working together.
Yeah.
Not against one another. Or else we might as well let's get rid of the federal government. Let's make a saving. Why bother?
Well, yeah, part of the thing that worries me, though, is like the line's split in all sorts of different directions, not just across politics. I reckon if I ring the Australian today, now that I'm back on deck, and say, hey, our Premier's fired up about New South Wales pinching these tests, they might go, oh, yeah, well, sucked in, you know.
Yeah.
Because they're all based in Sydney.
That's right.
Like, there's this...
yeah, you're right. It's deeper than politics.
This, but...
They wouldn't because it's Adelaide, David. That's exactly the point.
Yeah, they're all listening to 2GB.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, seriously, they are. That's what they do. And Ben Fordham wouldn't be covering this because
No.
you'd think, so what?
Yep.
Good on Dominic Perrottet for going in about for New South Wales.
Yeah, they'd be lauded. That's right. You've got a responsibility to your voters. But that's why we have tiers of government.
There's also why we have a Prime Minister, isn't it?
Exactly. We've got one to oversee them all.
But does his view extend beyond the Sutherland Shire?
I don't know if he
on this
knows.
sort of stuff?
Yeah,
Is he across this one today?
I think his map cuts off somewhere around the Murray, doesn't it?
Yeah, well... Oh, yeah, cut him some slack. He's done a pretty good job with the defence side of things, looking after us there.
Well, we haven't been invaded yet, is that what you're saying? No, you're right. You're right.
Well, they might invade us
You're
if they
right.
find out we've got rat tests
You're
hidden
right.
somewhere.
Based on recent developments, though, I think I'll believe the first nuclear submarine when I see it.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of text still from people with nominations for movie characters that deserve their own TV show. I like this one. Robert says Big Arnie's Terminator.
Yeah, that'd be good.
The Terminator. Limited series. Arnie's looking for work at the moment, wants to get back into entertainment. John has nominated the Jesus from The Big Lebowski. Would be great as a Disney TV series, he says. I don't know about the... I'm not sure that'd be the streaming service for that character, but...
maybe more in like late-night Netflix type thing.
Yeah, I would have thought.
Nice text with some warm childhood memories. Scott from Modbury here, talking earlier about Rapid Bay. Morning, boys. Some of my fondest memories as a child were camping down at Rapid Bay to go fishing. No more than our very first visit, when on the first night the worst storm to hit Adelaide in 13 years rolled through, destroyed our tents and had me, my dad, my cousin Darren and his mate Bill and my mate Gary all sleeping in a two-door Tirana hatchback. Not sure my dad's memories of this are as fond as mine. Good on you, Scott. Good to hear from you again, mate.
Lots of conversation still at the Australian Open about the handling of the Novak Djokovic situation, certainly as it extends to other major tennis tournaments and countries around the world. Spain and France, we spoke about a bit yesterday with the Madrid Open and the major, the French Open, of course, now saying you need to be vaccinated to play. John McEnroe, the American tennis legend, weighed in on the Djokovic situation yesterday.
I've been part of some chaotic scenes in Australia, but what's gone on the last 12 days tops everything. That is total and utter chaos. Absolute joke.
You cannot be serious.
Yeah, he just sounded like he just wanted to yell at, I don't know, a federal court judge, perhaps.
Just
I'm not so
smash
sure.
a few gerbers with his tennis racket.
8:30, 5AA News on the way. Then the Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens, will join us.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 30 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
Premier Stephen Marshall is seeking more information on claims other governments have requisitioned supplies of rapid antigen tests bound for SA. A Sydney-based wholesaler claims its supply was commandeered, leaving pharmacists and retailers here with no stock. The New South Wales and federal government have denied the claims, but the Premier has told David and Will he wants some answers.
Governments interstate don't accept that they have jumped the queue, but we think that there needs to be an independent investigation. And I'll be writing to the ACCC this morning. This is, I think, the right body if there has been interference in a market, and certainly to see whether it was even legal.
A driver had to be cut from the wreckage after hitting a tree at Door Park last night. It happened at the intersection of Dawes Road and Borman Avenue around 7:30. A 37-year-old man from Panorama was taken to Flinders with life-threatening injuries. A man has been charged with murder as police now believe a girl reported missing from the New South Wales Blue Mountains is dead. Nine's Lara Vella is in Sydney.
Strikeforce detectives arrested Justin Stein from a unit at Surrey Hills last night. The 32-year-old was taken to a nearby police station, questioned and subsequently charged with murder. He's been denied bail and will appear in court today. Overnight, police also carried out a search at the Colo River in relation to the 9-year-old girl's disappearance, but are yet to confirm what they were looking for and if key evidence was discovered. They'll hold a news conference later today.
The government in Tonga has confirmed the death toll from that volcanic eruption and tsunami over the weekend has risen to 3. Charity groups are working to provide clean water and restore communications. Sophie Ward from the Red Cross says it's a dire situation on the ground.
We are trying to pull together the information from a number of different sources, and what we're hearing is that there is damage. Most of the damage, though, seems to be a result of ashfall from the volcano. We're also anticipating and hearing stories about damage to houses and homes along the coastline of the west coast.
We're being asked to think about how much sugar we consume as part of a new campaign highlighting the risks associated with soft drinks. Australians down at least 2.4 billion litres of soft drink each year. AMA President Dr Omar Khorshid says there are up to 12 teaspoons of sugar in a can of drink.
We are seeing levels of diabetes, of obesity, of damage to teeth that have just not been seen before. And it's such a tragedy when we know that sugar has got pretty much no place in our diet.
American officials warn Russia could launch an attack against Ukraine at any point. Nine's Michael Genovese has the details.
Extremely dangerous. That's how the US is describing the situation at the Ukraine border. The White House saying Russia could invade at any point. 100,000 Russian troops along with tanks and weapons are positioned at the border. The US Secretary of State will travel to Kiev tomorrow in a bid to bring stability to the region.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and Alex de Minaur's strong form this summer has continued at the Australian Open. The 32nd seed won his opening match in 4 sets. De Minaur says despite a poor start, he refused to give in.
For me, the most important thing was my attitude. That was what won me the match. I was positive throughout the whole match. Didn't let anything get in my head, and I just kept on going. I was playing every point for its merit, and eventually things started to go my way, and I was able to take control.
Fellow Aussie Nick Kyrgios cruised to a straight sets win, while Ash Barty and John Millman will be in action later today. To cricket, and the Strikers will get back Travis Head and Alex Carey for Friday night's Eliminator, while last night the Hurricanes beat the Renegades by 6 runs to book a spot in the Big Bash finals.
And that is a sky ball racing around, and it's been taken by the captain, Matthew Wade, who has somehow managed to claw his team back into this.
To basketball, and the 36ers have knocked off the Perth Wildcats by 13 points at home. Coach CJ Bruton praised his men after 31 days off.
Having to wait so long was a frustrating part, sitting at home, guys dealing with COVID, and then to come out and play like that. The boys played well.
Finally, in the EPL, Chelsea and Brighton have drawn 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
At Prospect, got a breakdown on Regency Road near Churchill Road. Beverley got a burst water main there, Port Road just before Woodville Road. That's as you're heading outbound. Mitcham, burst water main, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. And Flagstaff Hill, speeds reduced on Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road for those upgrade works. Got cameras today, Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill and Fitzroy Terrace at North Adelaide. In search of a little more? Experience a little more of South Australia this summer. Visit southaustralia.com for last-minute holiday deals, things to do and places to stay. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast 30 today and sunny tomorrow 35. Friday a late shower or two but also 35 degrees. Right now it's 18. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Hey there, Georgie girl.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Why do all the boys just pass you by? Could it be you just
24 minutes to 9, behind closed doors, not too far away. David's daily headline coming up as well. Usually about this time of day I can start to guess what the subject matter of the headline's going to be. I got no idea today. Is that because you have no idea?
I can't do poker face.
All right.
Don't worry.
I'm sure you'll come up with something. You work best at deadline. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Commissioner, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
Happy New Year, Commissioner. I was going to say I hope you had a bit of a break, but I doubt very much that you did. And you had the COVID as well. How did you go with that? You feeling back on top of things now?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I had a couple of days while I was feeling pretty crappy, but kept working through that from home. And, back on deck now, doing really well.
Yeah, well, that's good. This might sound like an odd question, like two glass half full of question, given that very sadly Australia recorded its worst day yesterday in terms of deaths from COVID. But can you see light at the end of the tunnel yet?
I keep looking for that, and I am reasonably optimistic about this. As much as we're going through some pretty tough times at the moment with Omicron and the impact it's having on the community quite generally in terms of, people's reluctance to go out and do things, concerns about passing it on to vulnerable people, I do think we are on a path that will see us getting to where we were hoping to be at the end of 2021. So I think we just have to hold the course for the time being. We're pretty close. What we do need is for people who are eligible to go out and get their third booster. That's absolutely critical for us to be able to lift restrictions. It's the strongest protection we have to make sure that people who do contract COVID, like me, don't suffer seriously adverse effects.
Because perversely, I'm not trying to make light of the fact that you had it, but in the last 6 weeks, you had it, Peter Malinowskis had it, his wife had it, their 3 children had it. I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday. His daughter has it, his sister-in-law has it, his brother-in-law has it, one of their children has it. It feels like it's becoming, for most people, for people who are vaccinated, particularly for older people who are triply vaccinated, it feels like it's heading towards becoming endemic.
Well, I don't think the numbers are at the point there where we could say it's endemic. We're talking, there are large numbers. We're talking, 3,000 or 4,000 cases being reported a day. But we're not seeing exponential growth in those numbers, which is really pleasing. The Premier indicated that there's a possibility that we might be at the peak of our curve. I think we'll know more about that over the coming days. But I think we're a long way from endemic. We still do need to recognise that there are people who are ending up in hospital and in intensive care because of COVID. A lot of those people are unvaccinated, but even those who do have the three injections are still contracting COVID. But my experience, and just as you've said, I know so many people now who have contracted COVID, and most of them have a bit of a scratchy throat and feeling a little bit poorly for a couple of days, and then they're sort of back onto it. So I think that's a really good sign that the vaccination does make a difference, and we've just got to keep doing that.
I think an intriguing element of Australian society and the psychology of people the last couple of months has been the degree to which some sections of the community have locked themselves down. There's been no lockdown imposed. There's been requirements to do QR coding and wear masks and be vaccinated, all those things, but lots of people aren't going out, and our businesses and others are feeling it. From your perspective, has people's reaction to COVID being in the community, has it been appropriately cautious? Has it been over-cautious? Has it been, have people been too flippant? What's your view on just individuals and how they've handled it being in the community at the moment?
Well, I think what we're seeing is people taking personal responsibility for their well-being and the people that they care about, and prioritising what's really important in life, and that is making sure you're fit and well and you're able to go to work, that you're not unnecessarily exposing yourself to being a close contact and having to quarantine for 7 days. And those of us with family members or friends who are immunocompromised, we're making sure we're not putting them at risk. So I think it's a natural reaction to the virus being present in our community. Does that suggest that we could lift restrictions because people are doing it anyway? I don't think we're at that point yet, and I think the fact that we do have restrictions in place sends a pretty strong message to people that this is a serious virus and we do need to take appropriate action. And without sounding like I'm harping on it, one of the most important things is getting out there and getting the third dose. Get that booster. We're watching those numbers every single day. There are a lot of people who are eligible for the booster who haven't turned up. The sooner we get big numbers in that area, the sooner we can talk about lifting restrictions, I think.
Do you have an expectation that there'll be a mandate for certain sectors to get that booster?
I think there will be. We have a mandate in place for certain sectors to be fully vaccinated, and it's my strong view that the definition of fully vaccinated will include the third booster. So if there are different sectors that are dealing with a mandate at the moment, they should expect that it's going to be extended to the booster.
You mentioned restrictions and linked that, Commissioner, to the need for people to get out there and get that booster jab. Do you have any sort of timeline in your mind? Is there a possibility that it could become similar to the situation we faced in November, where it was incumbent on hitting an 80 or 90% target before we could shift on rules such as more than 10 people in family homes?
Yeah, I don't know the number, David, and I wouldn't suggest it has to be the same as what we had for the double dose. Excuse me, but I do think we'll be watching to see that we are able to identify a huge take-up in this space, because it offsets the fact that the COVID is currently in our community, that we know that people have taken the steps to provide themselves the best level of protection, minimise the symptoms of the virus if they do contract it, because that means that we have less people needing specific hospital care for COVID-19. And I suppose, to be blunt, it is all about making sure that the hospital system can manage the health requirements of the South Australian community, and that's the goal here.
Do you have a sort of a numerical or statistical marker at which point you guys on the committee are all looking at to say, well, okay, we've come away from the peak and we can start having a look at, relaxing things or easing things up?
Sorry, what was the question? Well,
is there some sort of statistical marker? I guess is there a magic number where you say it's either a reference, if it's a reference number for how often the virus is repeating, or is it a caseload number or a hospitalisation number? Is there something you look to and go, geez, when we hit that, we're good?
I think, I'm not sure what that number is, but we've seen modelling from mathematicians at Adelaide University that show us the forecast wave of COVID working its way through the community, and we hit that peak and then we start to come down the other side. I think it's about seeing diminishing case numbers at the same time as we're seeing those booster shot numbers go up. I think the number I saw yesterday was something like 58% of eligible people have had the booster. So that's a substantial number of people who are currently eligible have not yet had it, and as we keep moving along, more and more people become eligible for the booster. So we need people who are ready for that to go down to one of the vaccination centres. I know for a fact you can walk into a vaccination centre today and get that third booster with virtually no wait time. So there's no reason not to do it.
Absolutely. Just finally, Commissioner, we're 8 weeks away from the state election. Do you have any clarity yet as to whether you'll still be the emergency commander throughout the period of the state election campaign?
I think that's a pretty safe bet, David. The Emergency Management Act doesn't change just because we go into caretaker mode in the lead up to an election. My obligations as the state coordinator will remain in effect. It would take a change of legislation or a decision by the governor not to extend the major emergency declaration for those circumstances to change, and I can't imagine those things happening in the short term, but it is reviewed every 28 days. And that's a policy we put in place from the very beginning. We could have set a framework where a much longer approval was given by the governor, but we thought it was appropriate that this, given the significance of what we're dealing with, that it should be reviewed independently every 28 days. So I think that'll keep going right through the course of the caretaker period, and then it's a matter for the government after the election in terms of how we continue to manage this.
I reckon if you had one election promise for the people of South Australia, it'd be a whole lot less of this crap.
Well, let me assure people, I am not running for either party. I'm straight down the middle. I'll just keep doing my job.
No, we know that's the case. Commissioner Grant Stevens, great to have you on. No doubt we'll chat again soon.
Guys.
Thanks for your time.
Good talking to you. Bye-bye.
4 more years.
4 more years. Don't say 4 more years. Don't say 4 more years.
Oh, it just drives you mad, doesn't it? I mean, every time I get up and leave the studio, mask on.
Yeah.
Go and make a cup of coffee, mask on.
It's just, you know what I'll
My
enjoy?
parents came round for dinner last night because it's Tuesday. They come every night. When they turned up, for one split second I thought, do I need my mask?
Yeah.
I thought, how adult has my brain become from all this?
Yeah, but I think it extends to other things too. I will look forward to the day when you walk into a supermarket with other people, you see other human beings and not potential virus carriers. I think inevitably people give each other the wide berth factor now, as though everyone is a threat to someone's personal safety, and someone coughs in a public space, and it's like the criminal walks into the saloon bar scene in the old Western where the music stops and everyone turns their head.
Yeah, that's right.
Goodbye to all that rubbish.
Yeah.
Goodbye to that. I'm looking forward to that. There's no question about that. There continues to be really sad news out of New South Wales. Ben Fordham alluded to it on TGB a short time ago with regard to missing 9-year-old girl Charlize Mutton. Ray Hadley has managed to dig a little bit deeper and confirm the worst.
Now, this is very difficult. Following extensive investigations, officers attached to the strike force yesterday conducted a search in the vicinity of the Colo River, a tributary of the Hawkesbury River. With the assistance of police divers, Hawkesbury Police Area Command, Public Order and Riot Squad, Operational Support Group, OSG, and Police Rescue, the body of a child was located in a barrel. The body has yet to be formally identified. The barrel was on dry ground in the scrub. It was dense scrub. It appeared, according to eyewitnesses, it was being dragged towards the river.
What a total mongrel.
Just an awful story.
Apparently he's the boyfriend of the girl's mum. What a total degenerate. Geez, you could hear the emotion in Ray Hadley's voice.
Clearly, it had just been officially confirmed by New South Wales Police. So that has just transpired in the last couple of moments. It's a very disgusting and sad end, and you'll doubtless hear more about it as more details come to hand over the course of the day. All right, let's check traffic. Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? We can book your next service at Glenelg BMW.
At Prospect, got a breakdown on Regency Road near Churchill Road. Beverley, burst water main, that's on Port Road just before Woodville Road as you're heading outbound. Mitcham, another burst water main there, Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive, and Flagstaff Hill. Speeds reduced on Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road. That's for those upgrade works. Got cameras today, Blacktop Road, One Tree Hill, and the Parade of McGill. Boosters are available 4 months from your second dose at GPs, pharmacies and SA Health clinics. Book now at covidvaccine.sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive Officer at Western Hospital, Henley Beach. Our recent patient feedback survey indicates a high satisfaction rate with the care and services provided at Western. Most people don't know they can request to be treated at Western by our remarkable doctors, regardless of where your referral or specialist wants to send you. It is your choice where you are hospitalised. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. For more information on accessing our doctors, visit westernhospital.com.au.
You can do just about anything online. Buy a couch, find the love of your life, enter the cryptocurrency market. But there's one thing so important that you should never do online. And that's your will. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers can answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. The sort of thing you just can't do with an online will. Visit donlanlawyers.com.au and organise an appointment today. donlanlawyers.com.au.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom, so every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morfett Vale, driven by Australian Motors. LVD 80.
Feeling the burn?
Cheapest chips.
Save cash with Cheapest Chips Hot Buys. Grab Lynx and Rexona deodorants, so hot, at 2 for $6. Wash it like it's hot with Cold Power 2 kilo liquid or powder, only $8.49 each. Sorbent 32 toilet roll packs are scorching $15.99. And Head & Shoulders 620ml packs, just $7.99 each. Check out this week's catalogue for more hot buys in-store and online. Save cash and live cheaper with Cheapest Chips Hot Buys now.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 9, some big developments over the course of the morning, including the Premier calling on the ACCC to investigate claims that rapid antigen tests bound for South Australian retailers were seized by governments on the eastern seaboard. That was breaking at 8 this morning, and that will be a story that we hear more about over the course of the day. The Police Commissioner just joined us a short time ago. He confirmed that it's his very strong view that the definition of fully vaccinated should now become having had a booster shot. So you've had to have 3 injections to be considered fully vaccinated, and that has direct implications for people that work in industries that have mandatory vaccination. You'll need the 3rd to be able to continue doing your job if the Commissioner gets his way, and I think he says that knowing full well that the Prime Minister and the Premier are probably of a similar view.
There's a few texts from people complaining about that. One here says, we'll ask the Commissioner, when does the 3rd dose mandate turn into the 4th dose? And it keeps getting extended. Well, look, to those people, I would say, you get your flu shot every year. Like, seriously, you got you-know-what for brains. If you can't look at the current figures, the spectacular overrepresentation of unvaccinated people among those who are in ICU, those who are on ventilators versus those who are vaccinated. I mean, we sat in the studio next to a bloke who had full-blown COVID and didn't get it. You know, everyone I know who's vaccinated has breezed through this, with one exception. I know one person who did it tough.
Yep.
But, you know, complaining about that, trying to position this as some sinister conspiracy is idiotic. It's no different from, you know, annual flu shots. People fall over themselves to get them because and we know that they work. We know that this works.
I think the answer to all these questions about when does this become that, when does this stop, when does that happen, it's at the moment where you go, this is now bubbling along at a rate that our hospitals aren't in danger. That's it. The answer to all the questions about when does this stop, when do the restrictions stop, when do I stop having to wear a mask, when do I stop having a QR code, the answer is actually the same as it was when we first started doing stuff. And maybe that's the frustrating thing for people. The answer just remains, when we can say it's okay. Yeah, people get hospitalised, but our hospitals are capable of dealing with it. When we say that, and we've got no concern about that meaning elective surgery needs to get cancelled, or, as we're seeing with the code brand in Victoria, maybe major surgery has to be moved because they need to shuffle some people around. Once the answer to that question is, no, we can deal with it. We're all good now. It's going to be here. People are going to get it. People are going to go to hospital.
Well, there's 2 points that need to be made about that. One is that governments need to do everything within their power to make sure that the hospital system is funded properly and working properly.
Yep.
So that's a muted criticism of the government. But equally, and this is where it becomes infuriating because of the combative nature of politics, oppositions need to take a little bit of a deep breath and stop pretending that everything that happens is a catastrophe. Because they've got a vested interest in making it sound like nothing at all is working, when most things actually are.
5 to 9, it's time to go behind closed doors, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64, that's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed doors, 1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Mike Heelan and Brad Aldridge.
Right, and good morning everybody on this beautiful Saturday morning. Michael Keelan with you, and of course, Brad Aldridge. Hello, Brad.
Hi, Michael. What a beautiful day. It's wonderful town of Adelaide, Michael. Hey, Michael.
Right, yeah, it's just beautiful, isn't it?
It certainly is, Michael.
You can give us a call on 8223 0000.
We're interactive, Michael.
Right, and this beautiful weather makes us all feel very happy and uplifted, doesn't it? So you can hear it in our voices.
Oh, it certainly does, Michael. Although I do a lot of different voices, Michael. In 1 minute I can be really excited through the roof. Next minute I can go down and become quite gravelly and relax, Michael. I'm very versatile when it comes to vocal gymnastics, Michael.
Right, whereas I'm usually down here all the time.
You certainly are, Michael.
We're going to be talking food this morning, a bit later in the show. It's amazing, isn't it, how things have changed. There's so much variety nowadays.
Oh, it is, Michael. You know you can buy, Michael, you can buy shellless eggs now.
No, never heard of that. Shellless eggs.
Yeah, you can actually buy shellless eggs.
But how can you...
Well, they're boiled.
Right, oh, they're boiled.
Yeah, they're all vacuum packed in a nice container and...
oh, I see. Well, that's okay, yeah.
But I was thinking, Michael, how do you get a chook to lay an egg without a shell.
No, Brad.
I didn't know that could happen, Michael.
It doesn't happen.
Shellless eggs.
No, Brad.
I thought chooks just laid eggs. Nah, they had a shell.
Yeah, they do.
Now, fine, you can get shellless eggs.
No, you can't. Someone has to boil the eggs.
I think it's pretty amazing, Michael.
Yeah, but Brad, chooks can't lay eggs without a shell.
But you can buy them, Michael.
No, the chook lays the egg.
Right.
And then they boil them and peel them and then they package them.
All right, well, my next question, Michael, is...
Right.
How do they get cows to squirt their milk into those plastic bottles?
That's a good question.
It is. The unanswerable questions. 2 minutes to 9. It's time for your headline.
It's my party and I'll lie if I want to. Johnson digs in over Partygate.
I like that.
The real one would be a prediction that by Friday we'll see the headline, "Party's over, Johnson calls last drinks as PM."
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, that's good. You've already done...
We've got one on the bench there, just in case.
You've got the headline ready for later in the week.
You need the alternative ones. Just don't publish the wrong one, because that's happened a lot in the past.
Leon Biner's coming up. We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing.